We all want to see a female skipper taking the lead.
Look, I think it's about time, actually, to be honest.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. It's time for the Rolex Sydney Hobart 2017 live interview show from right here at the Cruising Yacht Club. So exciting. We have 103 entries this year, 28 international entries, and we have so many interviews ready to go, as well as lots of live ones from right here. You can see sun is coming up behind us, starting to come over the hill here in beautiful Rushcutters Bay. But before we kick into gear, let's get some of my minions over here. Now, they do call themselves the minions. It's not me that actually does this. Brigitte Berry, just come and tell me a little bit about your minion story, just quickly.
Oh, my minion story. Oh, that's fun. Well, when we started working together, and I think a lot of people don't realize that social media is just so many things, and it's really hard to describe. So I just do all of the things like the minions do.
And she calls herself the minion fondly. And today, home can also win. We've got $2,000 to give away over the course of the broadcast after today, because it doesn't start here, it just starts here, guys. This is the start, and we go all the way through to the end with all of our fantastic yachts and sailors. Can't wait to see you guys in Hobart, and good luck to anybody who might be watching today who's actually heading south. Stay safe and send it. So time for a selfie to kick off our social media coverage. Yay! Awesome, let's get rolling. We're going to go straight to our first interview with Grace O'Malley's Zoe Taylor, an owner, driver, female skipper. Absolutely awesome. Schneider Electric, thank you so much for your support of this broadcast. Here's Zoe Taylor.
Have a fighting spirit, no matter if it's on the work front or on the sea.
Now, Schneider Electric, talk to me a little bit about this. They're involved with Grace O'Malley, or GO.
Yep, they are actually. So I work for Schneider Electric, and they've been really great in supporting me to get to the start line of the Sydney to Hobart. The reason why Schneider has an interest in sailing is really because we actually provide a lot of technology on a lot of the maxi yachts in the Sydney to Hobart, and I wasn't even aware of that before I started working for Schneider. So it's actually been a really nice discovery, and it's all just come together quite naturally. The other side of that is beyond the technology. They actually really value work-life balance. Now, this is really different for me, coming from investment banking and construction, where I've worked a lot of hours for many years. So they're into flexibility at work. So that's enabled me to actually work a bit of balance heading into the Hobart, and it's helping me get to the start line.
So it's helping you achieve not only in business but in your life and your sailing life as well. And it's so nice to have you back.
Yeah, it's awesome to be back. It's a little bit surreal, but it's like coming home. And I feel so at home on the water, so at home on the yacht. I love all the camaraderie in our crew. I just love it.
That's so fantastic, and I can't wait to follow your adventure as we lead into the Rolex Sydney Hobart this year. There's going to be some exciting things happening from onboard GO, thanks to Schneider Electric's technology.
There is definitely going to be some exciting things happening on board. So what Schneider specialises in globally is energy management and automation. And what we do in a city is the same as what we do on a boat, actually. It's just on a different scale. So on the Maxis, we're helping with automation, and a really simple example of that is on how to move a keel. That's actually our technology that is helping that take place. So on the GO, whilst we do not have anything automated
You'd like to, maybe.
Look, if we're going cruising, but we definitely won't be winning if we've got anything automated. They did actually say, can we automate the keel or the winches? And I was like, definitely not, otherwise we'll lose our rating. But what we will be doing is working with our energy management, our output from engine charging to consumption by from our batteries and so forth, as well as doing our human being management as well. So Schneider is a huge supporter of wellbeing, so we will run wellbeing on board as possible, as much as possible in the big seas and high winds and so forth. But we will take some of our technology, put all our different inputs in the boat back up into a software, which we can export off the yacht, and people will be able to track as well.
Yeah, and we'll be keeping everybody posted on a few little interesting things to do with the well-being.
That's exactly right. So we've got some exciting things happening from a technology side, and we'll roll those out shortly.
Indeed. Stay tuned, and thank you so much, Zoe, and good luck with your campaign.
Countdown is on. So.
And how did it feel being amongst, I saw you chatting with Sandy Oatley and Matt Allen, and is that cool to be in amongst those guys?
Yeah, I think it's nice. I actually used to work with Matt years ago at the bank, but it's just really natural to have a chat with them all, and we're all doing the same thing on different scales.
Yeah, which is just fantastic. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nic.
And welcome back. My name's Nic Douglass. This is Adventures of a Sailor Girl, and we're live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, counting you in to the Rolex Sydney Hobart for 2017. Awesome interview there with Zoe Taylor, the owner and skipper of GO, or Grace O'Malley, sponsored by Schneider Electric, who are helping us out with our coverage as well. Now, the really cool thing about GO, I've put so many cameras on their boat yesterday, so we're going to get to see what they get up to during the race. But they've also got heart rate monitors on board. They've got a lot of power-saving electronics, and you'll hear more about that as the race continues. So keep an eye on our Facebook page at Sailor Girl HQ is where it's at. Now, as I mentioned in the opening of the broadcast, we've got plenty of giveaways today, thanks to Zyke. So make sure you stay tuned to the broadcast, or come and say hello if you are at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia and you see someone in a blue visor like this one that I'm sporting. Make sure you say hello. And what we're going to do now is lead into one of our international interviews. We have 28 international entries, a lot from the USA, but this one is a team from Korea. They have now come for the past few years. Awesome. We'll get into this interview right now. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia with our Korean entry. Now, I've spoken to you guys for the past few years, Andrew and Hewon. I've been following your progress, and it's nice to have you back.
Thank you very much. We are now prepared.
We are now prepared for the third year.
Well, it's my second year. Well, yeah, it's pretty much, we are pretty much prepared, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you can only ever hope, but you have had one windy Hobart in 2015.
Right. It was terrible, but right now I think it was better than last year.
Yeah. Last year was a little bit calmer compared to 2015, but you just said in the press conference that you want it to be rough?
I'm sorry, but yes, because I spent 9.5 years to come here, and last year was not that competitive, not challenging, so I hope the weather's going to be a little bit worse than last year.
You don't often hear many people hoping for rougher weather. Does this make you a bit frightened?
Well, yeah, he always talked about the 2015's weather, and that's why we are here, really. Yeah. We just want to experience that weather.
And also, you're hoping for a more challenging race with the weather, but then you're in the TP52 class, which is probably the most competitive class in the race.
Yes, right. Actually, my TP52 is the only offshore boat in the fleet. Yes. All other 11 TP52 is for the inshore boat. Yes. So the rougher the weather, we have more chance.
So is this why you're hoping for it? You're not just crazy.
No, not at all. Not actually.
No. So now, are all of your team from South Korea?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is so cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I like my team. We prepared. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I packed my team 11 years ago, and finally we got here. Some of them is first time for this race. So they are very worrying about the weather, but I think it's okay.
Well, it sounds like you have a good crew and a good boat, so good luck on Boxing Day.
Oh, thanks, really.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. And we're back here from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. And we have already had two fantastic interviews, one with GO's Zoe Taylor, fantastic owner-driver, and we'll be saying goodbye to her later on in the day. So stay tuned to our Facebook page to follow their journey. And also that interview with Sonic, the guys from Korea, who have been here for the last 2 years. Last year, they had what was named as being the most glamour Hobart of all time. And then this year, in case it couldn't have happened again, they've got an even more glamour forecast. But they're wishing for more wind. Has anybody ever wished for more wind in a Sydney Hobart race? They obviously haven't seen how bad it can get if that's what they're looking for. Now, speaking of the Sydney Hobart race, I'm just going to come come a little bit forward into the frame. How are we going over there, Rebecca? Am I in the frame? I'm going to come down a bit. Here we go. This is a bit of show and tell here, guys. So we're going to go over the course. So this is a map of Sydney Hobart with north at the top of the page. Hopefully you can see it here. Now the start will be just off Nielsen Park here. There's 3 start lines this year, and we'll see the boats heading out to a turning mark in between the heads and then racing to another turning mark just between the heads and then heading south. And you can stay with us as we do our live commentary of the start as well. Now, what's really cool today is that they'll be starting in an easterly. So we'll see a variety of code zeros or potentially A sails or maybe some R sails on the bigger boats, which is more like a reaching jib as they head off in the easterly and then down the coast. And they will absolutely rip down the coast, guys. It's going to be a very fast one. It will turn northeast overnight. We'll see a gradient. Oh no, Shredder! Sorry, my mascot's just taken a tumble. This is Shredder, guys. This is the penguin that the Minion asked for Christmas. And we'll see a nor'easter gradient building, and it's going to be a very quick race. We're not quite sure on records as yet. I mean, last year was a bit of an anomaly, and they were just ripping nor'easters all the way down for Perpetual Loyal, who has now got the race record, which is now racing as Infotrack for those who may not know. But one of the favourites for this year is Blackjack. It is an RP 100. They are from Queensland. They have been doing very, very well in the Blue Water Point Score Series, which is the lead-up series leading into the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia's Rolex Sydney Hobart. And they're absolutely just brilliant guys, absolute gentlemen. I'm not sure if you heard this story over the past week where Wild Oats 11 was struck by lightning, and they actually wouldn't be on the start line today if it wasn't for Blackjack helping them out and actually giving them instruments from one of their other boats from their fleet. So absolute gentlemen. And here is their navigator, Mr. Addis. Tom Addis is an absolute awesome guy, and we're going to hear from him right now. Stay tuned for plenty more as the day progresses. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia with the navigator from Blackjack Tom. It's looking like a good forecast for you guys.
Yeah, it's looking like a good forecast for humanity, really. Luck. Often the big boats can get through before the next front, but in this forecast, it looks like that next front is looking really late, and the bulk of the fleet can get through. So it's always nice.
I think everyone thought that last year was one of a kind. This one's looking just like last year, but even
across Bass Strait, and we were just going fast at the mark for 18 hours or so. And at once just before that big boat race. We didn't use it in the race, but so we haven't had our proper spinnaker yet, and so it's still a bit of an unknown quantity how we're going to stack up against the other boats, but at least we've got a proper size downwind sail now. We've been running on our A3, which is it's a great sail in its range, but it wouldn't be your choice of sail in 20 knots downwind. So we'll just have to on the day how we stack up. I'm still a bit unsure how competitive we're going to be against Oates and Infotrack and Comanche and that stuff, but anyway, we'll
you've got to play the cards when they're dealt to you. But even the big boat race, you guys were mainly on R sails, I thought, so and still managed to win that on line honours, so you could have gone even faster probably coming down the harbour with your A up.
Yeah, probably. That race, it's a very constrained racetrack. The manoeuvres are a big part of it, and you can win a race like that with a slower boat if you do everything right, and if the other lot have a few issues. And so we would have. Yeah, we probably, if we could snap our fingers and have the perfect sail on at any time, then you can go faster. But just the manoeuvres and the logistics of getting 100-footers around the harbour is a major, and often the best decision there is to use the slightly slower sail but easier to handle. And our A3 furls nicely from the bottom, it's not top down and those sorts of things, and that was a decision we made. We were slightly forced that way anyway because we didn't have our A2, but all good. It shows our crew works good. And we've got a really good team on the boat.
You've got a great team, and you've worked together all season, which a lot of the other maxis don't necessarily have. There's been a lot of change in and out, so.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, and the crew setup and morale and vibe is really important. Like it's every bit as important as having a fast boat. And so yeah, we've certainly ticked that box pretty well, I think.
Awesome. And so then the main things that we need to look out for is obviously the Derwent, but you guys are confident with your light air sailing, so.
Yeah, that's probably our biggest hope of the race is that, you know, I'm thinking those guys might be a little bit ahead of us in that running down to Tasman, but I'm hoping they're getting around there late enough in the day for it to start going light, and that's probably our biggest opportunity. So
we're going to be seeing Blackjack closing in fast.
Oh, we'll see.
No pressure.
It's one of those races. Yeah, you can do everything right and get to Tasman in great shape, and it all goes bad after that. So yeah, no, we'll just get there as soon as we can. I mean, people try and predict all sorts of things, but I've yet to come up with a piece of reasoning that's any better than that. Just the sooner you get there, the better.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to see you here, and good luck to the Blackjack team. I know there's a lot of people cheering you on, especially from Brisbane.
Thank you. Yeah, Queenslander.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. My name's Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, and we are live and bringing you all of the action from right throughout the fleet. We just heard from Tom Addis, who is the navigator on board Blackjack Yachting, the RP 100, the sister ship to Wild Oats 11. And this race is going to be absolutely incredible for line honours. I do like to think about the IRC race, the overall race, but you can't help but get involved with the line honours as well. That's what those 4 maxis are here to do. It's looking like Comanche will get a jump off the gun with the forecast that I spoke about just a little bit earlier, and easterly down the coast until a nor'easterly gradient kicks in, which is going to make it very fast. But it does get quite tricky and a little bit unstable off the coast of Tasmania, and we will see potentially Comanche slowing down with the RP 100s, Wild Oats 11 and Blackjack Yachting catching up. I'm praying that we have at least 2 maxis in the Derwent coming into the finish. Wouldn't that just be fantastic? And it's entirely likely this year, ladies and gentlemen, and I've just got my fingers crossed. And we'll be live for the finish as well, so make sure you stay tuned. Not on YouTube, we'll be on Facebook, but this is also available on Facebook for those who might be watching as well, and it's great to have you joining us from at home. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas. It's so easy for me to get a little bit wound up in Hobart Day, as I call it. I tend to call Christmas Day Hobart Eve. It's just something that's sort of happened, as this is the 6th year that we've covered this event live. The first 3 years were radio, and this is our 3rd doing a TV show, which is just absolutely awesome, and big thanks to everybody who's helped us get this far. We're going to go now into an interview, which I did release on Facebook yesterday, but it's just too good not to share again. It's with the 2 skippers of the Clipper boats that will be having crews from the Invictus Games organisation. So these guys are wounded warriors. They've been to Iraq. They've seen things that none of us want to ever see or dream of. They're suffering from post-traumatic stress depression syndrome as well. And some of them have disabilities resulting from war injuries, and the effects and just the way that they are able to just deal with these issues a little bit better through sailing is just absolutely beautiful. And you'll see a lot of emotion from these 2 skippers, Paul Atwood and Will Parbury, and also the CEO of the Invictus Games organisation, Ben Rahali. Absolutely lovely to catch up with them at Circular Quay last week for the launch of this event. And there are 2 teams heading south. It's part of the Invictus Games, which will be held right out of the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia next year in October, which will be absolutely awesome. So let's go to this interview that I did with the 2 skippers and the CEO, and you'll hear a little bit more about the Invictus Games and just how brilliant this organisation is. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl on board one of the Invictus Games boats. They are heading south in the Rolex Sydney Hobart in preparation for the actual games next year. Ben, you're the CEO and you've been doing a lot of organisation in the background for the Invictus Games. Do you want to tell me a little bit about what it means?
Yeah, it's amazing to see. I mean, we thought of this, my CEO and I, we thought of this concept of getting 2 boats in the Sydney to Hobart. It felt like a pipe dream up until a couple of months ago. To be here today, to see both boats here in front of Sydney to Hobart, to have a crew out here from the UK. Help for Heroes did a fantastic job to get them together, as did the Australian Defence Force and Soldier On to put the Australian crew together. Amazing, fantastic to see them all here ready to go. The training's been brilliant, and it's been great to see the teams bond over a couple of weeks, ready to go south.
Absolutely incredible, because not only is this one of the most I'm going to say memorable races in the world and renowned races in the world, then the teams that you guys have put together as well, they're a little bit special, aren't they, Paul?
They certainly are, yes. I mean, we've got 8 of our 15 crew are and working their way through their issues. One of the ladies on board said that every day she goes to pick her son up and then she has to go to bed until lunchtime because of her back pain. That has not happened. Her back pain, she's been back pain free for the last 2 weeks on this boat, and she can't really believe it either. So in terms of the healing power of sport, she's an actually living monument to that at the moment. It's just amazing. I'm sorry,
No.
They're really awesome people. They're really good.
Please don't apologise, because I love sailing so much, and then to see programs like this where it's giving back as well is just really, absolutely incredible.
It's really fantastic. It really has been an amazing time with these guys, and none of them really knew each other before they got on the boat, and you could see the bonding developing. And yeah, we're really looking forward to hitting the start line on the 26th and turning right out their heads. So, great.
I do well, but it's such a brilliant cause. Now, Paul, you're a Pommy skipper on board Down Under, which is the Australian boat. Yeah, so we've got a Pommy skipper on an Aussie boat. We've got an Aussie skipper on the English boat, which is a bit confusing. But, I mean, what are your experiences, Will? I mean, similar to Paul?
Yeah, we've just got back yesterday morning about 3 a.m. for our 500-mile qualifier.
Wow.
So we saw everything from 0 to about 40 knots, and yeah, I guess with people that are sort of maybe not as experienced as some of the other sailors you might see around, yeah, the attitude is just we need to get this done, and I think the military sort of side of the training is just bang, everything just descends and it all just happens, and you just go, wow, I'm pretty impressed. So yeah, and it's been also an amazing time, just the night watches, listening to some stories slowly coming out, and yeah, and I think there's been a few people already that are watching the confidence grow, and I think water's just a natural cathartic process being out there, and once you get beyond mobile range, it's just the people on the boat, and yeah, it's amazing the support you get around, and just how quickly things, once something's decided it's going to be done, just wicked watching it happen. Yeah, so brilliant.
That's so cool. I always say that sailing's my psychology, and we're just taking it to a whole nother level. It really is, but it's just so brilliant. And Ben, this is obviously just one of the first steps leading into the actual games next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the games will be here in Sydney in October next year. They'll be an amazing event in their own right. The stories that will come out of it, a sort of human endeavour of triumph over tragedy and so forth, will be amazing. We're really pleased that we're introducing sailing onto the sporting program for the first time. So there'll be 2 classes. There'll be yeah, absolutely. We pushed hard for that, and we're really stoked to have it. It'll just be just over here as well, in Farm Cove. So it'll be an iconic location. The Elliott Club.
On Boxing Day, the Invictus Games, you've got 2 teams to cheer for. You've got your Aussie skipper with the English team and your English skipper with the Aussie team. You should be cheering for both of them, because it's absolutely a fantastic cause.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So down under all the way.
Down under all the way, and game on.
Yeah, I think it's game on. Yeah.
Awesome.
Over, mate. Game over.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
All right, good stuff.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, and we're back live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia with a sailor girl who didn't really want to come on camera this morning, but I made her anyway. No, but you also know what you're doing. I know that the Ichiban boys pulled you in as well to come and have a chat, to come and have a training sail with them just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yep. Learned a lot.
You did learn a lot, and you're going south on
GBP, yeah, baby.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about the boat.
Pretty standard boat.
You've been working your butt off this week. Don't be modest. And you're a navigator, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something I just sort of got into in recent years. I'm an engineer by training, so it sort of made sense with the skill set.
And this week it's been a little bit of a joke around the yacht club because you're trying to run all of your software off Windows XP.
Yes, that's caused a couple problems.
How's that worked out for you?
Found some workarounds.
It's funny how you have to do that sometimes in sailing.
Yeah, that's how it is. A lot of the boat systems are older, and you work with what's stable and what you've got and figure it all out.
Sounds like being a sailor girl.
Pretty much.
Absolutely awesome. Well, it's great to have you here with me, and good luck for the journey south because it'll be your first one as well.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. We're going to get one on the board for Evelyn Hull, which is great to see. We're going to go to an interview now with Troy Tyndall, who's the skipper of Wild Oats 10. There is a second Wild Oats heading south this year, the RP66. I did go for a sail with them last week when they were testing a brand new mainsail, so make sure you keep an eye out for the onboard footage while we were having a look at that main. Great to see them heading south and challenging for IRC overall win this year. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor... hold. Here we go. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl at Woolwich Dock on board Wild Oats 10 with Troy. A little bit of testing today leading up to the big day.
Yeah, we're just a bit behind the eight ball with the late call on doing the race. About 6 weeks ago, it was a week before the entries closed, so we only got our sails ordered then, and they're only just sort of turning up now. So we've just wanted to get out today and get the new main up, which is great. North's have done an amazing job to get it here in time, and it all fit perfectly. They've had it built a couple of mainsails for the boat now, so this one's even better. And then we've got a new jib top arriving on tomorrow, and a new Genoa staysail. So we'll get out with those on Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, and then you're all ready to go. And for those who don't know, Wild Oats 10, the RP66, hasn't done Hobart before, but she's a ripper.
Yeah, it was built about 16 months before the 100, so it's the same design, just a little bit smaller. Rykel Pure as well, and it's had a lot of the modifications with the dagger boards, little bow mod, bigger bowsprit, sail area. Everything's just kept growing as we've learnt off both boats. Yeah. Both boats are used as a testing platform, and then they both get the upgrades that are needed. So obviously our focus is more on a rating configuration. So sales wise, we don't have the overall sail area that the 100's got, and we're also carrying the 75% mid girth for the IRC sails.
And you've been fiddling with your bowsprit as well?
Yeah, there was a change made to the boat a couple of years ago, so when we went to put the jib top back on, unfortunately we couldn't do that again. So we've just had the boat and the bowsprit off and in the shed, and that should hopefully be going back on the boat tomorrow, getting laminated back on. So there'll be a bit of a late push, but yeah, it's a valid one, and it's going to be one that can certainly help us win the race with the jib top. So
definitely, especially at the moment with the forecast looking the way it is. I know there's plenty to play for, but this boat does rate very well.
Yeah, look, it rates well, but it's got to be sailed well, And the thing is, I think the boats at the moment, with the group of guys that we've got here, everyone's pushing the boat well beyond its sort of capabilities that it's been pushed before, and we're seeing some pretty good numbers out of it, upwind and also downwind. So look, if the forecast plays out the way it currently is, well, it's in our hands to make sure we put in a good showing for it. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And you had a few of the 11 guys out with you today as well. Nice crossover happening there too with crew.
Yeah, the big thing is that it's a big team, like there's basically 36 sailors from sailing down on Wild Oats, so it's a big thing, and it's a big thing from a family perspective to put a bit of focus back into the handicap. Wild Oats has sort of made the race a bit more about line honours over the last 10 years, so now it's a good thing to give it back to the sport and put the focus back into IRC, and we're racing all 105 boats now, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, I absolutely love it. So good luck to you guys on Boxing Day. I'll be following your progress.
Excellent. Cheers. Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much. Thanks, Nic. Ciao.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Some amazing interviews so far, from our Korean entry to one of our 100-footers. There are 4 maxis going south this year, as well as the Invictus Games, which you saw just before, and then now Tyndall when I was on board with Wild Oats 10. Absolutely fantastic to go sailing with those guys and to hear about all the improvements that they've made to the boat. You saw that they didn't even have the bowsprit on a week ago, and as you you can imagine, when the lightning hit Wild Oats 11, there were a few resources that were pulled to help out Wild Oats 11 in getting back onto the water, rather than helping out Wild Oats 10. But great to see them sending 2 boats south. I know that Bob Oatley would be really happy with that, and very, very excited to see what his team would be doing. The Oatley family have been fantastic in supporting yachting over the years, not just in line honours but also in IRC, and there's so many records that boat holds well, and I know that they can have a few haters, which happens when you become a favourite over the years, but as you can see, there's so much love between Blackjack and Wild Oats, given how much they help them to get onto the start line, and they really do help each other out. In fact, at the Maxi Boat and the Line Honours press conference the other day, they actually welcomed Christian Beck to the fold, who's just bought Perpetual Loyal, which is now Infotrack, so it is a bit of a community, those that are hunting for line honours, because not many people can do it. But aside from the line honours, we're going to go and look at an interview that I did with another sailor girl, Wendy Tuck, absolute legend here in Australia. The last time that I interviewed her before this one was actually in Hobart 2 years ago, when she won the leg from Sydney to Hobart in the previous Clipper race, and now she is heading south for that leg yet again. There's a bit of pressure on her, as she just won the leg from Perth all the way to Sydney. So here's my interview with Wendo Tuck on board. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, with none other than Wendo Tuck. Congratulations to you and Team Sanya on your win in the Clipper coming into Sydney.
Thank you. It was such a relief to get in here in first place, because the lead changed so often in that race. It was the most nerve-wracking race ever.
I bet it was. I mean, the gate and coming all the way around the bottom of the coast of Australia. Talk me a little bit through the leg.
Yeah, we had a great start. We were really good. We had a good start. Then we lost it. I just decided to tack over a little bit too late, so we had some ground to make up. Then we got back in the leading pack again and stayed there, and that lead just changed all the time. It was a nice race. It wasn't really horrendous conditions, so it was not easy. No race is ever easy, but it wasn't as tough as it could have been.
Absolutely. And then coming into Sydney even, I think it was a minute, 2 minutes.
Yeah. And it's awesome for her, because it was her first time on the podium, so that's fantastic.
And she's in her 20s?
Yeah, she's 24, youngest skipper ever, and she's just nailing it. She's awesome.
So cool, that's so cool. And then coming into Sydney as well, I mean, the last time I spoke to you was in Hobart, and you won the leg into Hobart, and now you've won
this race, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we can do well as well. Just waiting for the forecasts to come out and see what they are, and fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. And then talk me a little bit through the Clipper race itself. This is your second time doing it. What is it that brings you back to the Clipper?
One, I just love ocean racing, and this gives me a platform to actually skipper, which I probably wouldn't have anywhere else because I don't own a boat.
Yeah.
And I love crossing oceans, and I like the Clipper race because you take people who've never sailed before, and hopefully, only half a dozen of them leave with a passion for sailing. My job's done. And I like seeing the crew progress and get better and better and more confident what they do.
It must be amazing watching them go from beginning, the start of even getting that passion in their eyes when, 20 knots hits the sails, to competent ocean racers.
Yeah, they're doing manoeuvres on deck without me now, putting reefs in and out without me, changing sails without me. I'll come up when we're changing down when it's rough, but they make the calls now. I'm sitting there going, someone should come and say, should we put a reef in? And they do, so they're onto it and they're nailing it.
That might be why you looked a little bit more rested coming into Sydney this time than last time.
Yeah, more rested.
Successful, but I know that everybody is so happy to have you home. There was a welcome function at Rancer, the presentation night the other night. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. My family came out because I don't live in Sydney anymore, so it was lovely having my family here because they came out to Cape Town as well. So seeing all my friends and family out on boats and stuff was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's just awesome. Well, congratulations again, Wendo. You are a legend, and good luck for the Hobart. No pressure.
Thank you. Yeah, no pressure, no pressure, no pressure, no pressure. Thanks.
You're welcome. Absolutely no pressure, Wendo. No pressure, no pressure. Go and do your thing. But it was really, really cool, as you heard in that interview, to see a female skipper 1 and 2. A lot of people have said, well, that's because it's the only time there's been 2 female skippers in the race. But I think that's incredibly awesome and a great indicator of how much it's pressing forward. Now, the Clipper race, for those who may not know, is a really interesting race which involves sailors and also non-sailors, and then they race around the world together. So there are a number of paid spots on board each boat, and it's lovely to see the Clipper race so involved this year, from not only the Invictus Games entries, which we had an interview with them earlier, and you can see that interview. It's isolated up on Facebook from yesterday. Just a really lovely feel-good message that I had to put up yesterday. But you'll also see that they are really, really involved in pushing safety in the sport as well, because often when you have non-sailors on board, you may need to use safety features a little bit more frequently. And something that we saw on the prior race to this leg 3, unfortunately, was a casualty in the Clipper race, which does happen from time to time. Sailing is a very safe sport, but things can go wrong, as in any sport. And this is an interview that I did with Sir Robin Knox-Johnston, who is the first solo male was Sir Robin Knox-Johnston. I sat down with the Oceanic Committee for World Sailing, and we had a chat the other day right here at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia about just what went wrong on that leg, so that we can try to help sailors avoid the issue, and there are things being put in place to try and prevent further casualties with the same problem. So a little bit of a serious one, but I think it's time that we had a little look at it. So here's my chat with Sir Robin Knox-Johnston and Matt Allen. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, and we're in the media centre at the Rolex Sydney Hobart Village at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. And we're going to have a little bit of a serious... He was wearing a tether, but there was an issue there. So on my left here, I have Robin, who is the chairman of the Clipper Around the World race and is a very experienced ocean sailor himself, having been the first to sail solo around the world. So definitely has a lot of experience there. But as I mentioned, it's more of a serious chat. And Matt Allen on my right is a member of the World Sailing Committee as well as president of Australian Sailing. So he'll talk a little bit more about what's going to happen down the line as well. But Robin, do you want to talk to me a little bit about the issue and how it happened, just so we can let everybody know what to potentially look out for?
Well, Simon was clipped on. The wind was getting up. They were trying to get rid of the number 3 Yankee. Wave came over the boat. 2 people were washed overside. One got himself back on board immediately. He had both tethers on. The other one, Simon, went overside. He was on his long tether, and they were busy trying to get hold of him, get the halyard onto him to pull him out, and speared. We got him back, but I'm afraid he was dead when we got him back. Now, the interesting issue here is exactly why that tether failed. Yeah. Because we all rely on these things, and we all have great trust in them. And what we're pretty certain happened is the tether somehow got caught on its jackstay next to a cleat on the forecastle. And it got caught about there. Yeah. And it was being pulled sideways. There's a different tether to this one. Yeah. And this is the weak point, and this failed. And it actually split this right open with a great big bang. Now, what we've discovered doing some subsequent destruction tests, these things, the ones we've got anyway, will fail at about 2,000 kilograms in a straight line. Copy. So that's pretty good. Yeah. But if you pull them sideways like that, against something like that, that can fail at 200 kilos. Okay. And that's what we've discovered. Now, I don't know what quite we're going to do, because I don't know many tethers that are particularly different to this. We've got various styles of the way you lock them, but they're all effectively very similar to this. And clearly there's a failure that none of us were aware of in that angle. And so really we've got to think about what we do to create a clip that can withstand that pull. Yeah. Because you never know on a boat, you know, your tether can get caught on something. Most guys these days do tether up. I think we've all got much more conscious of it. And sailing is basically a very safe sport. But when we see something like this, I think internationally...
And on my right comes in, because when I heard the reports, and I know that I spoke to you about it, I just went, well, he couldn't have been tethered. Like, as simple as that, because we do have so much trust in these. But 200 kilos is not so much when you're thinking about drag on a body in the water.
You know, from World Sailing's perspective and the Oceanic and Offshore Committee and the Special Regs Committee, chaired by Will Appold, will look at, you know, whether we change the clips or whether we solve it by education or some other. There's probably a number of ways of solving this. So it needs to go to the Special Regs Committee and then come back to Oceanic and Offshore, chaired by Stan Honey, and work out how we're going to solve this as an issue. That obviously will take a bit of time, and the important thing for the moment, while we're working through those things, is actually to make sure we do the education, and that's the purpose of doing this today. So people are aware of the issue. There's probably a number of ways that side loading could occur on a boat, probably more prevalent on older fashioned boats with more cleats on the deck, but I think it could also happen on a very modern boat. So really important for people all around the world to understand that this is a risk.
New Year period and the Christmas period, especially down under, there's lots of ocean races happening here, and as you said,
tomorrow on Boxing Day, we're going to wrap 10mm rope round the cleats, so to the point where actually the tether should just slide over them. Now, that's an instant and very speedy fix. We'll probably improve it as we go along, but at least that should make it slightly less dangerous, which is what we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I was just going to say, look, it's really important that the sport of sailing, that we learn from, you know, all the misadventures. It is a very safe sport, as Robin mentioned, but there's always things that we can learn about seamanship, procedures, safety equipment. You know, technology's improved safety equipment enormously over the last few years, especially with the advent, like the aircraft industry. You know, when there is a problem, we actually talk about it, work out how we can avoid it going forward, and I think that makes a safe sport even safer going forward.
Yeah, recognition and awareness and education is so important. So thanks, guys, for both sitting down with me today, so everyone can have a much safer Christmas, really.
That's right.
Yeah.
With exactly what Matt said. I mean, we have to work together on these things. We do work internationally an awful lot, but I suppose with the clipper race, we are at the forefront. And it tends to be that we find out things perhaps before others do. And we think it's very important that we pass on what we're learning. Sometimes we may not have an immediate solution, but at least we say, look, here's the problem, guys, let's put some good minds on it.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks for putting it all together, Nic.
I'll do my best. Yeah, I know, and as I said, a bit of a serious subject, but I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas and stays safe out on the water. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor. Quite a few times today as we continue into so many interviews and lots of live ones as well. Now this is what we call dun dun dun, sounding like a television station. Sometimes I hate doing this, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about the statistics. So the race record was set last year, 1 day, 13 hours, 31 minutes and 20 seconds by Perpetual Loyal. I was on the ground in Hobart. Absolutely amazing. I had to change my flight, actually, because I didn't think that I would make it in time for the boats that ripped into Hobart. This year it's also looking fast, though maybe not quite as fast, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with the system that's off the coast of Tasmania. And you can see that it's still a little bit sleepy behind me. Maybe everybody had too good of a Christmas day, so we're still waiting for a few people to join us live. Boats that are competing in this year's Sydney Hobart, from Dorade, which was built in 1929, through to the eldest boat of the SNS's, which was built in 1986, I believe. And the other day, absolutely stunning images as we saw all four, Kialoa 2, Dorade, Eve, and also Komatsu Ojuru that I just mentioned. They all lined up, the four of them, and past the Opera House in Sydney. It was absolutely gorgeous and a pleasure to be there. Now, a little bit more about IRC. Last year was won by Giacomo, which this year races as Wizard under an American entry. There are 5 American entries this year. I've caught up with all of them, and they're each in different divisions. So the Americans think that there's a chance that they could take home each and every division. Now, the smallest fleet that has headed south was in 1945 in the inaugural race of the Rolex Sydney Hobart. There were only 9 starters, and this year we have 103. I can see Shane Kearns just over the wayside. Let's call him in to come and have a chat, as I just mentioned, from Komatsu Azuro. I'll just clear some space for you here, buddy, because you are a little bit important in the Rolex Sydney Hobart world. We're a little bit shaky. Yeah, the camera can't keep up with you that quick, Shane.
That was me.
No, it's all good. It can't handle fast movement.
Winning the race overall is a little bit daunting, with mainly because after the first 2 days the weather pattern's not set in cement. But we've got to get a win in our division, which has got the most famous S&S in the world in Dorade. We've got Maluka, Enchantress, some really good boats. So first off, we've got to win our division.
All of the pretty boats in one division.
Yeah, and unfortunately not many people get to see us because, and in fact, being down the back of the fleet, we tend not to see anybody, just racing against ourselves in the time. I
see you though, that beautiful navy blue hull. Someone wants to get onto you. That beautiful navy blue hull, it is an absolute stresses.
It was great, and I said to my guys on board, I said, in anything you either want to be the biggest or the smallest. You don't want to be the in-between of anything, because you sort of get left out. But yeah, we definitely did have prime position, and when we saw the photo in the Australian the next day, that was fantastic. Yeah,
it looked very, very good. Now, a little bit on your results. You said that it's going to be challenging heading down the coast, but you're no stranger to this race, the Rolex Sydney Hobart. You've been second before. You've pushed for the gun several times. We're always waiting to see if you can pull off something big at the end of the race. Is that a little bit of pressure, or do you thrive off that?
Well, it is a bit of pressure, but all year the only thing we concentrate on is this Hobart. The Southport is the lead up to it, and this year we won that. The Blue Water point score, we were going okay in that until we got run over by Eve.
But I remember that.
The cabbage trailer, but the boat's all fixed now, and it's going better than it was last year, which the boat was going better than the year before, so it's improving all the time. I've got the same crew, so we've got a few new sails. Our sponsor's Komatsu, so if anyone wants a bulldozer or anything, just tell them Shane sent you. But we've got all new sails, so we've served, I think half the fleet's in the 50-foot range, so anything can happen.
Oh, absolutely. And as you say, I think every year everyone takes that safe bet. Oh, it'll be somewhere between the 45 and 52-foot range.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, I'm starting the rumour that I think it's going to be around the 34-foot range, and I've got my crew, drinking the Kool-Aid now and everything. And they used to get really embarrassed when I used to tell everybody we're going to win, and then we actually did. And so they're starting to turn them into believers. Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to say I'm going to win to set the bar high as well, and try and get everybody to we're going to win.
Yeah, that's right. There's no use being a spectator in this race. You either got to really have a go, or there's not much point really going.
Oh, it must be hard sometimes. I mean, the start, I think a lot of people can't actually understand unless they've seen it live. It can be quite overwhelming how much is going on out there.
Well, people have asked me about the race and Bass Strait and all that sort of thing, but for me, the biggest apprehension is getting out the heads. I think there's 102 boats. A quarter of the fleet is on the first start line, a quarter of the fleet's on the second, and the other half is on the third. And there's 60-foot plus boats on there as well. So our plan is to let hopefully the bulk of them go, and then just safely get out the harbour rather than most of the time people want to get a good start, whereas for us we just want to get a safe start this time, especially after the incident with that big swan 6 weeks ago, and we didn't even see him coming. He just ran over the back of us. He didn't see us, and so we don't want to put ourselves in that position again.
I don't want to see you in that position either. I remember I was broadcasting live and Eve came right up the back of you with their anchor on as well. That was a bit nasty. I was wondering whether you might be able to get yourself sorted.
Yeah, well, at the time it was scary. Fortunately, and this is the only fortunate thing, he was so big that his bowsprit, but then he jackknifed us around, drove us backwards at 6 knots, and then we speared into, he put his bowsprit through the start boat. So it was a bit untidy there for a minute or two.
It looked very untidy, let me tell you, but the sunset was beautiful behind you.
Yeah, at the time I don't think I really appreciated it, and but I'll go back and watch your clip of it and just try and put myself back in the moment.
Maybe don't do that. I think you've got bigger fish to fry today. But
we've got well over 100 Hobarts between the 6 of us. So
is that all?
Yeah, I've got the least amount at 14, but I own the boat, so I'm definitely going. And the woman we've got on board, Felicity Taylor, even this is her 23rd Hobart, so very experienced crew and enthusiastic. Don't get seasick and don't panic if things start to go, either don't go wrong and they don't drop the ball if it's not going our way. We just get on with it. So
you do get on with it, and I've heard you've made a few modifications to the boat as well to make her go even faster, including
the carbon dunny and
the carbon fibre toilet.
That's it. Anything the TP52s and the 100-footers have got, we've got. And that was for the safety gear and the life jackets and everything. But then I thought, I was looking at that toilet for a long Komatsu, they look after us, and I told them we're going to win, so they said, well, you're obviously going to need a brand new set of sails
and a brand new toilet.
Yeah, actually, I did tell them their Komatsu logo was getting a little bit worn, and that was the justification for the new main. But as soon as I saw Wild Oats talking about their new main, it's 12% lighter. Well,
most classic, beautiful vibe.
Either so what we did, or what I did, was buy a boat that. So the handicap came to me, and that's the S&S 34, and it goes well.
She goes all right. Well, it's lovely to see you yet again. I think we speak almost every year, and the first time I met you, I was saying just earlier, you had to go to an interview now with Durade, one of the other S&S's. Good luck, buddy.
No worries.
Good luck. Good luck. Lovely to see you. Great. We're going to go to an interview with Durade, which was built in 1929 by the same designer as Komatsu Ajura, with the owner, Matt Brooks. I did do the interview sitting on board. It was absolutely brilliant to talk to him. And as I mentioned, to see all of these S&S boats out over the week. Durade, beautiful, beautiful boat. Has never actually been, got to work this out, west of Hawaii, but they've done the entire circuit that Durade used to do this year. From the Transatlantic, which she's won. They'll do the Newport to Bermuda this year as well. They've won so many races over the year. Such a beautiful, stunning boat. So let's have a little look at this interview with Matt Brooks from Durade. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl on the beautiful Durade, the 1929 S&S Classic with the owner, Matt. She's absolutely stunning.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
No, you're totally welcome. Now, do you want to tell me a little bit about this beautiful girl? And this will be her first time doing the Rolex Sydney Hobart. In fact, I believe it's her first time even in Australian waters.
Yes, we've been here about 6-8 months and done some other races to get ready for this iconic Sydney Hobart race. Durade was built in 1929-1930 by Olin and Rod Stevens when they were 20 and 21. Yeah. Olin Stevens later became arguably the most renowned yacht designer of the 20th century. Yeah. And this was the only boat he owned. Wow. And he was very successful in this boat, won the Transatlantic, Fastnet, Newport, Bermuda, and then Jim Flood won the Transpac race. Yeah. And on every ocean racer's bucket list is the Sydney Hobart race.
Oh, absolutely, and you've got quite a bit of stock behind you here going through some of your racing sales. Race crew that have come with you from the US?
Well, we've been very fortunate that we've managed to, for the last 8 years, have essentially the same crew. People like being on the boat. They like it, and like every boat, there's a personality, and she's just a good girl. Yeah. So people enjoy sailing on her.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they could possibly enjoy sailing on this beautiful, beautiful creature. You must be just so proud when you look at her. We're sitting up at the CY here at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, and you can see this boat. She's in full form, and I don't think anybody could walk past her and not just...
Well, what's wonderful about her is, although she's 87 years old, she's still competitive and still doing what she was originally built to do, which is race in the ocean. So that's what's magical to us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's magical to me too. And I'm sure that everybody that went to Hamilton Island Race Week this year and saw Durade in Australian waters racing for the first time, I think it sort of took everybody's breath away. So at the start on Boxing Day, it's going to be even better.
Well, I hope so. We hope to do this very difficult and tough race, challenging race. We hope to do it in good form and not embarrass ourselves too badly, because it's going to be a very difficult race.
I'm sure you will not embarrass yourselves. I'm sure you'll do this beautiful boat justice, and I can't wait to see you on the start line and then in Hobart when you bring her home.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. It's actually looking like rain at the moment, so I've got my dad who's helping out behind the scenes, /skipper / managing director, running around trying to find an umbrella, which is quite entertaining. And speaking of fathers and daughters, I have next to me Alex South, who I met through her dad, who's also watching just over yonder. You're about to head south for your first Hobart. Very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty crazy. It doesn't feel like it yet, but I think by about like 11 o'clock tonight, it'll definitely feel like we're heading that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've got a little bit of a moon boot on down here. I'm not sure if you can see this, ladies.
Safety first, right? You're just gonna taking extra precautions this year. But no, I was sailing in NACRA 17 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I decided to make a bit more contact with the T-foil than probably most should. Punctured a tendon, and while I was in the hospital, blood pouring everywhere, I got the call from Lisa, and I said yes, which was probably not the best idea at the time. But yeah, the doctors weren't too happy, but here I am.
Sometimes as a sailor girl, you've got to say yes, and it's a pretty cool opportunity to head south with a team of all females.
Yeah, first all-girl team in 16 years and only the 10th all-girl crew to take the race on, which is kind of surprising, actually. Like, you'd think there would have been a few more efforts, but here we are.
Only 10. That's actually a little bit sad.
It really is, isn't it? We need you to get out there.
No, I'm better here. I'm better on the land. But one day I will go. But don't go the year that I go, because it's a good looking forecast.
Oh, absolutely. Like, how does it get much better than that? Just the Derwent's going to be very fickle for everyone, I think. Like, the big boats, everyone's going to suffer there. So it'll be interesting, at least.
It will be very interesting. And what led you to want to do a Hobart? I mean, most people know you from doing skiffs, you've done an 18-foot skiff campaign. You've sailed on the FX more recently. Before that, lasers. Why a Hobart?
Good question. Again, ask me at 11 o'clock tonight and I'm sure I've got an answer. But I think it's one of those things, we come from Sydney, we come from New South Wales, which is the home of it. And you, for so long, kind of watch everyone go out, you watch boyfriends, ex-boyfriends leave the dock and that sort of thing. You kind of think, oh, yeah, maybe I don't want to go back to my warm bed tonight. And I guess that's what's happened.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's really cool to see you heading south. And thing that you're most looking forward to about the race?
The end. I'm kidding. The depth and knowledge about like Libby Greenhouse is absolutely amazing, and we've got Lisa obviously who can pretty much sail through a hurricane, which has been proven. So yeah, I think we'll definitely be there safe, and hopefully with kind of competitive on our handicap scores.
Yeah. And the thing that you're least looking forward to?
The start? No, kidding. No.
Isn't the start the fun bit? No, it's the scary bit.
No, just I guess just sending it. Like I come from fast boats, and that's kind of what I like to do. So as long as we're hitting the numbers, and just getting a lot of experience through the girls who are on board.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Well, it's great to see you, and please take care of yourself.
I'll try.
She tries.
Sorry, Mum.
Bit late now, but still very, very cool. And speaking of females that are heading south, Zoe Taylor owns Grace O'Malley. We saw the interview with her earlier. Here's a little bit of a chat with her navigator, Carl Crawford, who's done just a few Hobarts. We'll hear from him from right on board the boat that's sponsored by Schneider Electric. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl on the beautiful Grace O'Malley with the navigator Carl Crawford. Now, Carl, I've interviewed you for quite a few years relating to the Hobart. You've done a few of them now, I believe.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate, thanks, Nick. This will be my 32nd year, and I'm doing trying to look after my father's record of 30, and my son Ben's here today, and he'll be starting in 7 years and doing his first. So it's a bit of a family legacy.
Absolutely incredible. And Boxing Day is all about families, and for those that are sailing, it's about heading south.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we look forward to this race every year, and I reckon it's so good it should be done every month, but it's only on once a year, unfortunately. But look, we're in pretty good shape this year. The boat's been put together really well by Zoe Taylor, done a wonderful job. We've got Vanessa Dudley with us as well, and we put a crew of guys together that we think can do the job. and we've got a pretty good-looking forecast at the moment. So so far we're ticking all the boxes, and we're in very good shape for Boxing Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, talk to me about the forecast, because
it means we have a velocity prediction program with the boat's performance. We lay that over the forecast, and we have a chart. There's a third layer, and that gives us a good direction of where we should be heading. This year the weather is looking like it's pretty much in a northerly regime, and so it's nothing really spooky at this stage. So we're looking like it's all in good shape.
Yeah, it is looking really good, and maybe a little bit too good. Does it make you get a bit of pressure?
No, there's no pressure. No, look, the race is. It's a great race for a lot of reasons, and one of the big ones is the weather's always going from your right to your left, so you're always crossing the weather. You're not going with it, so you can expect certain changes that aren't always in the forecast, and especially in the lee of Tassie, and that makes it a very interesting place because it's never like the forecast. So there's still a lot to play, and it's never a lay down misère. But myself and Hugh Brodie and all our mates here have all done the race a few times, and 25 odd times, so we've all got a good feel for it, and we per the forecast. So that's sort of the fun part of the game. The asset's great, the boat's great. Zoe's done a great job with the boat, but when it all comes down to it, it's a people game, and it's about people sailing the boat really well. And that's a bit I enjoy, is the people and the camaraderie and putting it all together. Yeah,
which is awesome. But the boat you said, Grace O'Malley, she's a Cookson. When people think Cookson, they think Cookson 50. This isn't a Cookson 50?
No, not at all. This is a Cookson 12. So it was originally a ILC 40. It was called a FAR 39 before the FAR 40 superseded it. And Mick Cookson put this cabin roof on it and changed the cockpit and made it into a real true cruiser racer boat. So it's a great boat to go offshore in. Yeah,
it's absolutely beautiful, actually. I quite like it. Good size as well.
Yeah. Well, we've all sailed on boats a lot bigger than this.
Absolutely.
But this is we've got our own team of mates on this boat, and we're all good friends. So we've got a really good group of people, and we're sailing with a crew of 10, and that's a really, because of Grace O'Malley being a female pirate, we've got a lot of pirate equipment. Which is I see the back of the shirt.
Let's see. Look at this shirt. It's absolutely glamorous. So just a bit further, apparently, you've got to go. Coming. Oh, there it is. Look at this shirt. That's just absolutely awesome. Grace O'Malley, 1530 to 1603. Well, that's fantastic, Carl. Well, good luck to you and the team. We'll be following your progress.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Nick, and all the best to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. So fantastic to be going through so many boats within the fleet. We've had a few live visitors as well. We've had Alex South, who's going south with Climate Change Now, which is an all-female team, the first in 15 years, and only one of 10 to have headed south, which is a little bit disappointing, but I know that there are more girls coming through the ranks, including that interview that we just saw with Carl Crawford, and the owner skipper is Zoe Taylor. Who else have we had live? Shane Kearns. Oh my gosh, always such a brilliant chat, and it was a pleasure to have him yet again. He has come second, he has come third overall, not just in his division. And I know that he's always pushing for the win. He's won a number of serious races, including the Land Rover Sydney to Gold Coast race, but he hasn't come on home for the goods with the Tattersaw Cup. So maybe this year will be his year. Who knows? Everybody's saying it's going to be the 45 to 50 foot range. It is looking like a little bit of a soldier's course. I did show you that that map earlier, guys, but as basically the big deal is they're going to have easterlies all the way down the coast here. And then this is where we're going to see the shutdown happening for the bigger boats. So that's the interesting bit of the race. That's where we see it all potentially change around. So we'll just have to stay tuned. And we will have the weather update from 8:30, and then I'll have my dad, Rob Douglass, in the hot seat. He'll report back from the wedding, us in the loop, and we're trying to get an overall picture of what's happening. And as I'm sitting here chatting to you, I can see the Comanche boys climbing over the rail, including Stan Honey and Brad Jackson, who's on board with Comanche. They're just all arriving now for the briefing, and everyone will be heading up there to get the last word on what's happening before they head south. Hi, gentlemen. Good luck. Nice to see you. And they're heading up to the briefing now, so very, very exciting here. And I think I had an interview lined up. I can't remember which one. Oh, that's right. We're going to go to Rico, my interview with Mark Richards from Wild Oats 11. Had 2 seconds with him before he left the dock the other day, just down here actually on the edge. He jumped on the boat ready to go, and then he saw me and went, "Oh no, I've missed you." So he jumped back off the boat and we had a quick chat, and he talks me through the lightning strike that we all heard about. They're not actually sure from the Wild Oats camp itself. I was there when it happened the next day, and there was a lightning strike. They're not sure if it actually hit the mast or whether it hit nearby, whether it hit the spreader or whatever happened. But oh wow, we've got an umbrella coming in. Thanks, team. I wish I could show you this. This is awesome. Good work, guys. There's a mum umbrella coming in to protect my lovely Rebecca while she's sitting there. I can get wet. I don't mind if I get wet. That's perfectly fine. Good job, gentlemen. I might have to get a picture of this. This is hilarious. Can one of the minions come and get a story of them putting an umbrella over here? This is quite entertaining. But yeah, Mark Richards, or Rico as he's fondly known. We have the 2 sister ships heading south, which is Black Jack, which is the old Alfa Romeo, and Wild Oats 11. And counter to what many might think, they actually get on really well. They really all get on in the Maxi camp. So let's have a little bit of a look at this interview with Mark Richards. It's very short and sweet, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Maxis line up today, as well as everybody through the fleet. We've got plenty of live interviews. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, catching Rico before he runs away. You're quick off the dock, and hopefully you're quick off the line on Boxing Day.
Yeah, that's the plan, Nix. But look, what an exciting event! I mean, it's the forecast looks amazing. You've got an amazing fleet. The whole fleet is really, really competitive. A lot of TP52s, Volvo 70s, Wild Oats 10, the 66. And you've got the 4 fastest 100-footers in the world on the start line. So really exciting stuff, and yeah, looking forward to it.
It's going to be absolutely incredible, and you guys haven't made it for the past 2 years, but I know that the Wild Oats camp is like from hell or high water. Both boats are making it this year.
Yeah, look, it's been a tough couple of years, and topping it off with a lightning strike a week ago wasn't much fun either, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. The guys have done a great job. The Oatley family are amazing support to us and the whole sailing fraternity, really. So it's exciting stuff, and I'm just really excited to get out there and have a crack.
Absolutely, and what I love about this sport is how much the Blackjack guys helped you to get on the line, but then at the press conference just now as well, welcoming Christian back as an owner of Infotrack, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, look, I mean, they're Peter Harburg and Mark Bradford, it's a class act, they remind me very much of Bob Oatley and myself, it's a great relationship, they do a great job, it's a wonderful campaign, and to help us out like that was just, it was just fantastic. So we just appreciate that so much. And to see Christian back in the sport, I mean, what a great thing to have a new, exciting, someone with a bit of personality and humour, and it's going to be great. So I hope the guys do a great job and keep him in the sport, because he looks like he'll be a lot of fun.
Absolute cracker. Well, good luck to you guys on Boxing Day, and we will see you in Hobart.
Terrific. Thanks, Nix, and Merry Christmas to you and all your...
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. Welcome back to the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Just had to go because Grant Simmer rocked up in the room. We've seen Stan Honey, we've seen Brad Jackson from Comanche Camp climb past, and I just gave them a wave as they went past. But I had to give Grunter a hug. He's such a legend. He was formerly with Oracle Team USA. He's now with Land Rover BAR, and he's heading south on Infotrack, which should be a good ride. If you haven't seen the live press conference that's on our Facebook page and also at our blog, you can head to www.sailorgirlhq.com to see our blog, and all of our action is getting updated there. But look at the live press conference with the overall line honours contenders. Christian Beck from Infotrack is absolutely hilarious. I think I can quote him as saying that, come on guys, let's be honest, I've got the shit box of the maxis. I'm just looking to learn as much as I can from this race. Like, just an amazing owner, and it's so great to see him in the sport. Named as the skipper. Michael Coxon was previously on board as the watch captain and the sailing master, but Tom Slingsby jumped on with them a week ago to help them learn how to steer the boat. It was formerly Perpetual Loyal. He did go south with Perpetual Loyal last year, and they managed to win on line honours, and so then was hanging out with them. He was steering the boat so beautifully that Christian Beck decided to keep him on board. So let's see that chat with Tom Slingsby. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, with Tom Slingsby, the skipper of Infotrack. You've gone south on this boat before. New owner. He's hilarious, by the way.
He is. No, Christian Beck, the new owner, he's a great guy, and as everyone just saw in the press conference, he's very humble and he says it like it is. So it's refreshing to have a guy like that in our sport now.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's obviously willing to listen to you guys and go with the flow. You've got Grunter on board as well. Good team?
Yeah, we've got a great team. It's a little bit of a new team to this boat. There's only 3 guys who did the last Hobart or have done a Hobart on this boat before. But yeah, obviously I've worked a lot with Grant Simmer over the years, and we get along great. We've got Ian Jensen, Goobs, from Artemis Racing. He'll be doing main sheet, and then we got throughout the boat a lot of good professional guys. Then we've got 8 Infotrack guys who have never sailed before. Oh my gosh. They all got a bit seasick the other day when we were offshore, bashing into 45 knots. But look, it's a bit of an experience. Christian's got plans for this boat moving forward for the future. We've got to train these Infotrack guys up and get them going for the future. So it's look, it's a bit of a multi sort of angled attack on this Hobart. We've got a few different goals, obviously, and get these guys some experience.
Absolutely, and then given that you've got 8 newbies on board, it's probably a really nice forecast.
Yeah. This forecast, what we have been training in, where the guys are getting quite sick, and we've got a lot of waves over the deck. And
it's so nice to have you back in Australia. Lots of sailing for you. It's great to see.
Yeah, it's been great. I wanted to get back into sailing and just on the water every day, and so I planned on a month of sailing and to do go for gold and sail Melbourne down there, and I did that. That was good fun. I learned a lot, and now my new Moth has arrived, and I've spent the last week trying to put it together, and as soon as this interview is finished, I'll be running down to Wallara Sailing Club and getting on the water.
That sounds good to me. Well, you have a very, very Merry Christmas. Lovely to see you, and good luck when you head south. At least you're going to have good times on board.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of laughs. We've got a great group of guys, and hopefully we can still mix it up with those top guys.
I'm sure you. Hi guys, welcome back. My name's Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. We're live at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. We're reaching that time of the morning, that 8:30 time, when the crews that are all heading south for the Rolex Sydney Hobart will get their final weather briefing. It's all very exciting. And what we might do, there's actually a big screen just to the right of me, and they're streaming the briefing on that big screen to the village where we are, right here at the club. It's absolutely awesome, actually. I've been hanging out here most of the week. Our media centre's just behind. That's where the minions are at work. But we're going to talk a little bit about the competition that we're doing today, guys. This is Shredder. He's been a bit of our mascot. Now, the story of Shredder is that Brigitte asked me for a penguin. She asked me for a lot of things. She's quite a demanding minion. So my theory to get around getting her a live penguin was to get her a stuffed penguin. And he's now become our mascot, Shredder. And as you can see, he's now got antlers, which my whole family were wearing yesterday for Christmas. Gosh, Christmas feels like ages ago. But anyway, Shredder, penguins, This is the name of the competition. If you are around the CYC or if you're watching online, we want to know what type of penguins you find in Hobart. That's the competition, guys. Comment on the broadcast on Facebook. You'll see it up there. They're waving at me from in there, giving me a love heart single, telling me that they love me. They're in the media centre working hard, Rashid and Eliza Allen. And if you can name the penguins that you find in Hobart, you may end up with a prize. We've got plenty on up for grabs from Zyke, actually up to about $3,000 this year, which is just lovely to see. So that said, just waiting for this briefing now, and in the meantime, what I'm going to do is we're going to go back to an interview that I did, which is actually fairly important, and I think that's why we should show it now. It's an interview that I show every year, actually, with my good friend Roger Hickman and Shane Kearns, who we saw earlier in the broadcast. They're two very good friends, and unfortunately, Roger Hicko passed away 2 years ago, so this is the final interview that I did with him before the Hobart 2 years ago, and he won the Tattersall Cup in 2014, which was an amazing achievement for him, and his boat Wild Rose is just in the pen over here, and he's just a lovely guy. It's Wild Rose, Roger Hickman. It should be in the box there, so we'll find it when you're ready. Yeah, we're lining it up now, guys. So I do play this interview every year just to remember him. I think there's not a person here that has been involved with the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia where it doesn't bring a smile to their face. And here's my interview with Hicko, the last one that I managed to do. And let's have a look at this before we go to the final weather briefing. Oh, well, look at this. I'm surrounded by a couple of gentlemen.
You are.
I am. Hicko, almost time to give up that trophy.
I know. You kind of wish that the race isn't going to start. I mean, maybe we could postpone it for another 2 or 3 years so we could hang on to that mantle. But no, the thrill and the excitement of getting the next race underway, I can't wait.
Yay, that's awesome.
Yeah, to trade another month of being the winner to get it underway, I think let's get it underway.
That's absolutely awesome. Now, for those who may not know, Roger Hicko is the owner-driver of Wild Rose, who won last year the Tattersall's Cup, which is overall handicap, basically, for the Rolex Sydney Hobart.
That's right, yeah. The handicap, it's open to all the boats, all shapes and sizes, the big, the new, the old, the pretty, the ugly.
Yeah.
And so everyone can have a crack at the Tattersall's trophy, and we were lucky enough to score that last year.
Yeah, I think you make your own luck just a little bit. But talking about pretty, my gosh, your boat has to be one of the hottest in the fleet, just over my shoulder back here.
Thanks for that. A lot of effort's gone into it, and they are a classic design anyway. So just, all I really did was just tidy it all up and give it a nice coat of paint. And the lines of the boat, they've been the same since 1968.
Absolutely stunning she is. Navy blue, my favourite. But she's quick too, I think.
Well, they're renowned as a safe boat, and but safe sort of means slow.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot with a lot of experts to actually increase its speed, and so now we've got the right combination of safe and fast.
That said, you did win the Sydney to Gold Coast race. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, as Hicko.
Very exciting. No, look, Shane's been around the yachting for a long time, and he's made this boat the most beautiful, picturesque. The colour, he makes me feel as if I need to tickle the rose up. But
navy blue all the way, Hicko. Next one.
And it's great. It's great. We love the big boats, as we've said. We love them, but a lot of boats down at the smaller end of the fleet. They sail hard, they sail well, and we have a lot of camaraderie and competitiveness all through the race.
Yeah. So that's the question. You two, it could be all on again this year.
Oh, well, we gauge ourselves off Hicko, who is the best.
Yeah.
And I joked in the Gold Coast race that we had Hicko's face on the inside of our spinnaker as motivation, so none of us forgot what the goal was, and he did motivate us to get that win. So thank you, Roger.
Oh, well, that's awesome to see. Maybe we'll have to get them to shake on it here.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, boys.
I hope you could win, because if he wins, we might get a place, and if we win, you might get a place.
How good is that? That's why we love sailing, eh?
No, it'd be lovely to see Shane win in such a beautiful boat. Really would.
I'd be happy to see Hicko get second.
I'd be happy to see you both make it safely to Hobart, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think, firstly you've got to
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, one of my favourite yacht clubs, and it hosts the Rolex Sydney Hobart. And we're counting down to the start today, which is absolutely awesome. And speaking of the CYCA, next to me I have Janie. How many years have you been a member at the CYCA?
I joined in '94, so that's 23 years I've been a member.
You don't look that old.
Oh, thanks, honey. I did just give away my age, so.
No. But you are actually on the board of the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, which is awesome.
Yes, I joined the board 3.5 years ago, and I was really lucky about 1.5 years ago that they asked me to stand for treasurer. So now I get to control all the finances and make sure that we're investing in the right place. And it's a great time with the refurbishment going on at the moment. We finished stage 1, stage 2 will start in February, just in time for the 75th anniversary in 2019. It's going to be a fabulous year. We've already started making lots of plans. We've been
thinking of so much happening. Today you're heading out on the water because you're commentating.
Yes, I've been lucky to be asked to commentate on the start boat, so the boat that's got the cannons that will fire. I'll be there with my good friend Brett Philby, and we will be providing the commentary for all the VIPs, politicians, sponsors and guests.
So not just a pretty face and not just a pretty human and not just a member of this yacht club for 23 years. You've also done a Hobart yourself and you own a Far 40. You're a sailor girl who's out there and doing it. I love it.
I am, yeah. I recently bought a Far 40 with my dad. I was sailing with my dad. I did my first Sydney Hobart with Dad in 1995, and I've just loved sailing with him ever since. So.
Yeah, well, it's just amazing to see you giving back as well, and I know that things are just going to get more exciting leading into the 75th Hobart, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, no, very exciting time. I love being part of this club and being able to give back, so do consider getting involved with your yacht club. You know, it's a great... it is.
She's going to say join here.
And join the CYCA, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely beautiful, and I've loved hanging out with you in the past few weeks, and well done for all your work to you and everybody involved with the event.
Great, thank you very much.
You're
Cheers.
Totally welcome. We're going to go to a holding slide for just a minute because the official weather briefing is just about to start, so stay with us and we will try and tune you in to that weather briefing on the big screen just to the right of me. Thank you so much, Janie. Woohoo! This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. I know I said we were going to the weather briefing, but then I saw Jeff sitting over at the side and he's going south with Patrice. Patrice is going to have a great year, I think.
Yeah. So far so good. Sort of had some good results to date, and certainly the crew's sort of peaking at the right time. Hopefully the forecast is good. The boat's in immaculate condition. We're ready to go. Yeah,
yeah. And a coffee for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dad. MD.
Yeah.
He's all over it now.
Yeah.
The boat, the Kerr, she's a good-looking boat with a bit of a flare, and she's going to like this forecast, I think.
It does. Yeah, plane's really early, so we should be sort of snapping at the heels of the TP52.
Is that your arch nemesis?
Oh, well campaign, very fast boat downwind in pressure, but they give us time, so hopefully we can hang on to those guys and be close enough. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, have any changes been made to the boat leading into this race?
Not really. So there's always modifications and improvements to the rig and the general setup. Mm-hmm. But I've got a full inventory of North sails. It's probably been a bit of a shift over the last 12 months in the boat.
Yep.
And it's been a positive change. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll see what happens. Good luck to you. I'm sure the forecast will be kind. Yep. And say hi to TK for me. You're doing great things with that boat as well with his fundraiser too.
Yeah, please everyone jump on board. I personally donated yesterday. Mm-hmm. So get on board for a great cause.
Yeah, no, it is a good one, helping kids out with cancer. So just lovely.
Great, cool.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We're going to go back to the holding screen. The briefing's just started. We'll flick you right over now, ladies and gentlemen. See you soon. Bye.
I'll just go through the ranking, but in case I forget to say it at the end, have a good race, everyone, and thanks for coming this morning to listen. So I've got the satellite image from 6 o'clock this morning, just to follow, which will come through on the 28th, it looks like. And also the maintain pressure time around 6 o'clock this morning. So that's how they changed that route through Sydney on Christmas Eve. Is now from the north coast, that front that I mentioned, and a high pressure system starting to build, particularly in the southern Tasman Sea. So for Sydney today, around about the race time, the clouds should still be hanging around, and we're looking at around 10 knots in the harbour at the moment, all of our weather. And slight seas, as you head outside the heads, things might be a little bit stronger. Over the next couple of days, you can see that high pressure system in the southern Tasman Sea hangs around, and the pressure gradient starts to increase, and then we should start to swing around to the northeasterly. So for the rest of today, winds turning to the northeasterly as you move down the New South Wales coast, increasing a little bit by midnight. Probably still in the range of 10 to 15 knots by 11 o'clock tonight. Moderate seas, there's a background sail as well, and the zip wave heights probably around 120. Pressure gradient starts to really harden, increase further. So the eastern Gippsland waters, so that's eastern Bass Strait and the east of Tasmania, look like they might get some strong winds by the end of the day. So the strong winds are in the green colour, 20 to 25 knots is that darker orange gradient. So just increasing during the day. We've got strong wind warnings current at the moment for that end of the sequence. And then as we head into Thursday and Friday, we'll see that front move across to Tasmania, expected in Hobart area around midday on Thursday, and then moving off the coast in another series of fronts tracking towards Tassie on Friday. So Thursday, that front fairly light, and as it tracks up the Hobart coast, into the Hobart area around about midday is the current timing, anyhow. 15 to 20 knots most of the offshore waters. The weather forecast itself has changed a little bit. The rain expected with that change, and the chance of a thunderstorm as it moves up. The other thing to mention about Thursday is the Tasmanians think there might be a bit of take-off off the eastern Tasmanian coast as well, particularly in the early hours of the morning. So these are just the graphics of the move through Thursday, so that suddenly change tracking up the coast of Tasmania, shipping the north by around 11 o'clock, and that westerly change through East Gippsland, southwest, so 5 a.m, 11 a.m. in the eastern Bass Strait area, and then swinging around to the southeasterly. Yeah, so just a summary of Thursday. South-southwest change early afternoon as it pushes up the Derwent, it should turn into a southeasterly. 25 knots locally around Tasman Island, Bruny Island, and in the Derwent, most of it will be 10 to 15 knots, maybe up to 20 knots just locally. On Friday, it looks like most waters will start as a really light east to northeasterly, or inshore to northwesterly, and then as we move into the morning, east to northeasterly. And then by the end of the day, an increase as that next part approaches. Not much weather around on Friday, those fronts move past too far away from the second one, and so just the odd morning shower. As we move into Saturday and Sunday, there's still a fair bit of difference in the pattern, so I won't go too much into it. But I guess the basic story is westerly winds, it looks like, for most of the time. Could be quite windy on the 31st, so possible gale winds, not near the southern tip of Tasmania on the Sunday. But I guess the story for the rest of it is west to northwesterly winds maybe turning southwesterly for a period in there. Hobart Sport. And on Friday, showers clearing, and then not much rain around on the 30th or the 31st either. So just as a brief summary, hasn't been too much change in the forecast since I spoke to you last. So southeasterly around 10 knots to start, increasing northeasterlies as you move down the coast on Tuesday, but mainly Wednesday it'll pick up. A southerly change, some kind of southwesterly change coming up the Tassie coast on Thursday, reflected as a westerly first in the east and get some coastal waters, and then a southeasterly later, and then actually so the rain is developing on Thursday to go harder than Friday, as is on this side. And thanks everyone, and have a great race.
But, this is the race I'd like to be doing. Jane, if you can keep that sort of forecast going for the next few years, I think we'll have 1,000 boats stand hunting the same. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the formalities still need to be completed by some of the boats. If I read these boats' names, please ensure that you comply with the instructions by having 2 persons sign the notes at the back of the room. We need representatives to attend and sign from Bojest, Sonic, Uende, UNICEF, Hotel Planner, and Heartbreaker. One of the other things that's important to remember is that the international they do want to represent as many boats as they can, and I think you'd like to have that represented as well. So keep that in mind, please. I wish everyone a safe journey, and I look forward to sharing some beer and bubbles with you. Thank you.
Let's go.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Hope you enjoyed that briefing, and those naughty boats that haven't got all of their safety in. That's very naughty of you. They're on Santa's naughty list. And sitting next to me we have Scott Lawson. He came to say hello. This is our housemate from Bermuda, mine and Brigitte's. You had to put up with me for a few weeks when we were covering the America's Cup.
Yeah, tell me about it. It was a tough time over there. But listen, Brigitte's standing over there. She's just more trouble. So I had to come back to Australia, going down on the Mighty St Jude.
Yep.
Looking forward to a nice, easy race. I think Brigitte just passed out. Just want to get the medic.
Get the medic. Brigitte's passed out, just kidding. No, but it's really nice to see you back here and a nice reunion as well. And St Jude has been going so well in the Blue Water Points Series as well.
Yeah, very happy. We're actually leading the Blue Water Point Score Series at the moment by a substantial margin. So we've worked hard on it over the last 2 years. Developed a crew out, got Jeff Copley, Stu Holder, some really good sailors on it.
Sorry, had to put that one in there.
I think we know a few people mutually with you.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It happens like that in sailing though. You have all these mutual friends, and I know that St Jude is one of the sort of heart favourites as well. She does all right.
Yeah, I'm in love with her, I know that. Don't tell my wife.
Don't tell your wife that. The other woman, St Jude.
That's right, always the other woman.
Always the other woman. And what other sailing have you been doing?
To be frank, not a lot. I'm on the Bush Ranger crew with Mike Fountain. We'll be doing the Australian IC, defending our title there. Got a Melger's 20, which I love and enjoy all the time.
Why do you keep going back to do the Hobart stuff?
Interesting question, yeah. So number 16 for me, probably 16 too many. I don't know, it's just a great challenge each year. It's a very tough race. You never know what's going to come. Despite the weather forecast, we know we're going to get hammered at some point. So we're always ready for that. Let's keep doing it.
Absolutely. Well, it's very nice to see you, and good luck to you and your just out on maybe. So I'll just bring home that Blue Water Points Series.
Excuse me a minute.
Love you too. He's giving Brigitte a hug.
down
We had such a good time in Bermuda. See you later, Scott. Good luck. Absolutely awesome. We're going to go to an interview. Let me see if I can make my poor little producer's mind just bobble here. The poor girl. She's got to deal with a little bit. I think what we'll do is actually put up one of my chats with the guys from Comanche, Jim Cooney. So he is the skipper and owner, the new owner of LDV Comanche. I remember going south on the Hobart. I've been lucky enough to sail on the boat under previous owners, which was with Jim Clark, and Ken Reid invited me on board, so I have put a bit of onboard footage on there for you guys to have a look at. But yeah, Comanche with Jim Clark, Comanche with Jim Cooney, yeah, there we go, 2 Jims, that's a little bit confusing, but yeah, he's had Brenda Bella with the boat right behind him as well. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl with Jim Cooney, the newest owner of Comanche. Absolutely awesome to see you here in front of your new vessel.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic. And it didn't happen overnight. The news was announced overnight, but we've been working on it for on and off for the last few months. Yep. And it was only really that last Tuesday night that the deal was inked with the owner in the US. So suddenly we were able to think, wow, it's actually going to happen. And we've got a rapid learning. Curve, very steep learning curve over the next 4 or 5 days.
I don't doubt that at all, but the smile on your face is absolutely brilliant. You must have had a great sail yesterday.
Yesterday was exhilarating, and I was surprised by a couple of things about the boat. Firstly was when we were going upwind, the responsiveness and the acceleration of the boat was just fantastic. There's been a lot of talk, rumours and she just sits on the chine and runs. It's beautiful. And then turning to come downwind then, yeah, it was. I was amazed that we put the big A3 up and the boat just took off, and there is no downwind sailing. The apparent wind is always forward of the beam, and you feel like you're going upwind when the true wind is at 145 degrees. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, she is an absolutely beautiful boat, but what I love as well is that you have 2 of your kids on board sailing with you.
Yes, James and Julia and we have 5 children, and they've all sailed with us on boats over the years, and James and Julia have done Hobarts with me. Last year on Maserati, and before that on Brenda Bella.
So good.
It's fantastic, and this is why we do it. It's not a passion of mine that they tag along with. It's something that we've decided we'd take on as a family so that we could all enjoy it together, and that's why we're involved.
I just love that, because I've spent a lot of Christmases sailing with my dad, but not on boats this big. You're very well known for having favourites entered in the Hobart race, and I race dinghies, but it's something awesome to do with your family.
Oh, it is, and yeah, of course it's a challenge going into the race as a favourite or one of the favourites. There's a lot of eyes and a lot of scrutiny, and a lot of people who've known me in sailing for years wondering how it'll go. But I'm very comfortable with the way this boat performs, and particularly with the people around me, with Stan Honey, Jimmy Spithill, Casey Smith, and Kelvin Harrop. So we'll have consensus decisions.
Absolutely incredible. Well, good luck to you on Boxing Day. It's so nice to see you, and thanks for keeping this most beautiful boat in home waters for me.
Yeah, that's exciting, isn't it? Four Australian 900s on the line, and all of us with a reasonable chance, depending on the conditions and what the other guys do. So yeah, very exciting.
It's going to be a great race.
Yeah, I think so. I think this will be one of the best races for a long time in terms of line honours, and hopefully, for the rest of the fleet, the conditions are good, and there's an exciting battle for handicap.
Absolutely. We'll see you in Hobart.
Okay, thanks, Nic. Look forward to it.
You're welcome. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. We're back at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. An awesome briefing there. How's the weather looking, Matt Allen?
Nick, it's looking like a really fast race, and I think it's a big boat race. I mean, not for the Super Maxis for the overall win, but I think we're looking at probably from the Cooks and 50s up to about the Volvo 70. So anywhere in there, I think, is where it's going to play. Be snapping at the heels, but I think it's a pretty small window.
Yep. And that said, you nice coffee, thanks, Dad.
Cheers. It's all about the service.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned TP52s in there. Obviously, you yourself have a TP and a brand new one at that.
Yeah. So latest Super Series hull, and so I think that it's nice bow up sort of boat. So when we get that pressure tomorrow, it's going to be challenging conditions, but at least the bow's going to be riding high, which is better than probably some of the other TPs. So hopefully that gives us a small advantage, and we've got some really good downwind sails, and hopefully. Hopefully they're still in one piece when we get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few little sneaky weapons. You said you've been designing some of the sails yourself.
Well, North Sails probably won't give me any credit, but but yeah, we've got a couple of concepts of sails that I think will be pretty useful for this race, and we've only used them a little bit, so we'll see how we go. But I think it'll certainly be really useful tomorrow, and pretty. I mean, there's going to be some great footage. We're going to be quite close in, so I think they're going to send some helicopters in certainly tomorrow, and there'll be some great footage, especially around lunchtime. So it's obviously easy to get good footage at lunchtime. A lot of the boats will be sort of just entering Bass Strait, and so yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep you posted on that because we get all the access to the Rolex footage. But now, in the past 3 years, you've sailed 3 different boats: the Carkeek 6.
Yeah, look, it is. Look, I think it's a really good all-round boat. Yeah. It goes upwind really well, goes downwind really well. We've got a lot of riding moment on the boat. We've got a lot of really new out of the bag sort of reaching sails as well. So I think the boat's in good shape, but you need a lot of luck in this race and something along the way, and it's going to be pretty challenging for the whole fleet, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be really challenging for you guys, because I think what a lot of people don't realise is that in a TP, once you get up and going, you're driving into the next wave as opposed to skipping over it like the 70s or the the 100s or the 66s.
Yeah, I mean, our boat's got a little bit more freeboard than some, but yeah, you did. I think tomorrow we'd all like a bit more freeboard, so we're a little bit further above the wave, but it is what it is.
It is what it is indeed. And I did a little interview with you yesterday, I think it was. It feels like days ago. I've had a few long days in the past week about the failure of that clip on the tether as well. I think everyone should check it out, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's an important safety issue. We've obviously got to work out what we do as a sport with these clips, and I think it's a bit of a balancing.
No, shredder! Don't do that in the race, Matt.
Right, yeah, that's right. Keep it pointing
balance.
Up.
We're talking about balance.
Balance, yeah. Yeah, look, it's an important point, and I don't know really what the solution is, because I think, but it's really important that people are aware that the side loading of the clip point. It's all about continually improving the safety in the sport, which is something that we're all about.
Yep, so that we can go and have fun, because that's the main aim of today, Matt Allen.
Correct.
When you've got a bit of pressure on the table.
Yeah, no, Abby, amazing race, and it's great to see all the media coverage. But Nick, you're doing a great job, really promoting this race to the whole world. So well done, and onwards and upwards for you, Nick.
Thank you very much, Matt. On that note, we're going to go to an interview with one of my other favourites. Sorry, Matt. No, you are my favourites, all right. Richard Clark from Wizard. He was with Comanche the last time that they won, and now he's on Wizard, which was Giacomo last year. I had a little bit of a chat to him about just why he made the change from LDV Comanche to now Wizard. Not many people would. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl on the dock, and it's almost go time for the Rolex Sydney Hobart for 2017. Got behind us the lovely Wizard, formerly known as Giacomo, formerly known as Groupama, I believe.
Yep. Groupama, the boat from the 2012 race. Yeah.
So she did all right, and with me here I have Richard Clark, who fondly names himself the cook of this lovely crew.
Well, Nick asked me what I do on the boat, and it was like, well, I cook, I'll do whatever it takes, right? That's one of the things you learn early days, right? If you want to get on a fast boat, you do whatever they want you to do. Yeah. But I get to be the watch captain. That's what I've been done on a lot of races. As you get more gray hairs, they want me less for my brawn and more for my...
More for your brain.
More for my brain. Although at some point, isn't the brain going to stop working too? And then I don't know what I'm going to do.
I guess so. Well, then you can actually be the cook, I guess.
Ooh, there we go. Right.
That's where we moved to.
Inspire.
Though I have to say to all cooks this Christmas, thank you so much for all your work, because that's not wearing my visor.
Well, I can see you now coming down the dock with the visor on. It's all right. But yeah, literally when we saw you in San Francisco and you had your visor off, I'm like, I think I know. Is that Nick? I'm not quite sure.
I don't recognize you.
So you're all good. You gotta have your keep the uniform going. It's all right. Don't change color.
No colours.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Now, you've had a big year. I've seen you all the way around the world. Not only have you been sailing a lot with Comanche, who's now got a new owner as LDV Comanche, you've also been
conversation back again. But as you sort of, again, people sort of look for your expertise and that sort of thing. And the Bermuda experience was fantastic. It kind of not renewed my love for sailor development. Some really neat things there that sort of put a good framework and a good sort of template for coaching. And some of the guys picked up on that, like when I was in San Francisco doing the Etchels. And although foiling multi-hulls to Etchels are about as chalk and cheese as you can get, the same idea as far as just, keeping just the process going, and making boats go fast. It's all the same, whether you're a slow boat or a quick boat.
Or a small boat or a big boat in this case, but you have downsized. The last time you did Hobart was with Comanche, and now you've chosen to go with Wizard. Why make that change?
It was a very difficult choice.
I remember the decision-making process.
Yeah, very difficult choice. And to be honest, it's nothing against Comanche. That is a boat that is very near and dear to my heart.
And many people's.
Yes, It is one of the most incredible boats you can ever get an opportunity to sail on. Not that the Wizard isn't. A Volvo 70 would be a very slight lateral step. I'm not going to say a step down, just a lateral step.
Lateral step is very clever.
But the Askews are putting together a program for the next couple of years. And for me, being a professional sailor, and it's my business, the opportunity to do one race on Comanche with an unknown future or sign up for a program with a 2-year future really makes a lot of economic sense for me.
Sure. So what is it looking to do in the next few months or year?
Well, we'll do this race, and then we'll come back here and get in a ship, and then Bermuda race will be our next race.
We'll be there too. Woohoo!
There you go. We can have this conversation again. And then gearing up to that transatlantic race in 2019. So it'll be some East Coast American stuff next North American summer, and then Caribbean in the winter, and then looking forward to going across the Atlantic in 2019.
Now you are sailing with an American team, but you're Canadian.
That is correct. Kind of
a boots, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. But we have a good mix, a very international crew. Kiwis, Aussies, Americans, Canadians. Trying to think if I missed any.
An Aussie boat captain in Mitch White.
Exactly. So it's with the transition from being Giacomo being Wizard. It's nice to have that
consistency
and a handoff, right? We're still learning the boat. It's new for most of us. So we're very fortunate that we had the experience of the guys that have done the race a few times on the boat to guide us through some of the way that she likes to be handled.
I mean, every girl has the way she likes to be handled, but with the forker, Minion's cracking it up at the back. Come on, I've been really, really good today. But this boat, I mean, any pressure given that she did win on IRC last year and had a glamour run.
It's the pressure of trying to repeat, different people, it's the crew is different, but the boat's the same. And as Cloud says, in the forecast that he's been sort of providing and looking forward, he goes, lightning's not supposed to strike twice, but it almost looks like this year it might. So we have the opportunity, with a great glamour forecast, and B, with a boat that has a proven track record to do well uncorrected, that, you know, it makes you excited. It makes you excited as a sailor to have those opportunities, you know, going forward, that we can have another opportunity to shine this year. And, you know, we're cross our fingers that that we can do the boat justice and that the forecast holds true.
That would be absolutely awesome. And that said, you've got an amazing crew on board, not only the Askew brothers, who seem to be awesome owners, but I mean, Chris Larson's on board.
Yeah, we got Larson on board and
Nitro.
Yeah, Nitro, who I was looking the other day, right? We had that sort of crew list and how many Hobarts everyone's done, and then you kind of go through and you go, is that a typo? Has Nitro really done 31? Yeah. Right, yeah. So, you know, again, you know, he's got gray hairs, and we'll be looking at, I'm sure we'll be going up to Derwent, and he'll be like, okay, back in 86.
Maybe not with that accent, but.
You know, I'm shy, exactly, probably. I don't do any accent well, with an old man accent, maybe that was. I don't even know what I was trying to do. But I'm sure, you know, the cool thing is, yeah, we have that experience where, you know, not that it's ever the same, but, you know, what we do in sailing. Sailing's a lot about pattern recognition, right? Absolutely. Understanding what happened before and capitalizing on that experience. So with someone like Nitro on board with 31 races of experience, we'll be certainly tapping him. Not that our guts are getting bigger.
It's Christmas time, isn't it? Right now.
Yes.
And while we're very hot and bothered, I think I'm going to let you retire, and I'm going to go and do the same and enjoy Christmas with my family.
Awesome. Well, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and to you
Thank
also,
you.
Richard.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. We're back at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Awesome interview there with Richard Clark from Wizard, and great as always to chat to Matt Allen from Ichiban. They are two of the boats that are in that range that we're looking at, Shane Kearns said earlier, and now we're looking at the 50 foot to 70 foot. And one of the really cool things at the moment is out on the dock here. You can probably see there's a little bit more activity behind me than what we had earlier this morning when the sun was still coming up. Plenty of people saying goodbye, everybody heading to their boats, and there's also plenty of bottom cleaning going on. The divers are out in force, making sure that those final tickle-ups are done before everybody starts to dock off. Can't even see what time it is. Oh, there we go. It's 9:15, so most of the boats will start docking off from about 10 o'clock, and we still have a few pre-records and a few live interviews to go as well. Speaking of pre-records, one of my favourites from Christmas Eve, I headed to the American Crew House. There are 5 teams from the USA entered. There's Wizard, there's Dorade, who we've already seen an interview from both of those boats, and then there's Triple Lindy, Christopher Dragon, and also Warrior One. They're all members of Storm Tristle. They're all from the New York Yacht Club as well. And there's a bit of banter coming up in this interview, guys. Christmas Eve cheer aplenty. Let's check out this interview with the Storm Tristle guys. Lovely to catch up with Andrew, Chris, and also Joe. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl at the American Crew House in Sydney. There are quite a number of American teams here represented, but I have 3 of them. We have Andrew from Christopher Dragon, and of course we have Chris from Warrior One. Now, firstly, why are all you guys here?
Joe. Joe's the reason.
I'm here because of Chris and Andrew.
Oh, no.
Joe did it last year, and I fantasized about doing it. And Butcher Ulmer from UK Sales said, if you have that fantasy, the person to speak to is Joe.
Excellent. And then you committed to come?
Yes, in February of this year.
Yeah, awesome. And yourself, Andrew?
We're a little behind them, but Joe was the inspiration. Then Chris did it, and I walked around my house. We know all these guys.
It's raining today because of Joe.
I know. How are you enjoying our lovely Australian weather, by the way? I mean...
Pretty good. The first day we got here was a little warmer than we thought, but this is a great place. Everybody in Australia couldn't have been nicer to us. And Joe told us we got here, they love the Americans, and it's been great.
Yeah. No, we do love that you guys have come because we know it's such a long way. I mean, tell me a little bit about the logistics, Joe, to get your boat here.
The boat I'm selling on this year I purchased back in June, and it was in Auckland.
We're getting wet.
And so, yeah.
That's okay. We're good.
And so it was sailed over. It was delivered from there, but it'll be shipped back just as these guys' boats, after the race.
And your guys, did yours get shipped together?
7-star, he went on a container ship, but Joe and I are going back together. So that's it.
You got friends on the way back. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you going back with them?
Well, they choose 7-star, which is a great transport out of Palm Beach, is that right, Florida? And I chose to go with Peters and May, who puts it on a boat in Baltimore, rig out, keel off, and it's quite simple, maybe a little more expensive, but I don't have to power sail it to Florida, so it all comes out of the same. But it was quite simple. Peters and May does a great job. You email them and they take it from yacht yard to yacht yard. And Woolwich, which was Joe's recommendation, has been magnificent. David Kellett takes such good care of everyone, as well as his son Brad. You can trust that everything will get done.
Oh, they're two absolute legends who have done a number of Hobarts themselves.
Great job. Yeah, and I think we're all going back to the same rate. We're all going back to Newport, Bermuda. I think we're all going back to Newport.
That's golf clubs. I am a member of Rourke, but more golf clubs than sailing clubs.
I think Chris and I are the same. Yeah. New York, Storm Trysail, and Largemont. But I think for us, almost everybody on our boat is from Storm Trysail. We're doing Storm Trysail for this race.
Yeah. I love it. That's so fantastic. Now, I do have a bone to pick with you. While we're in lovely Australian weather, I noticed that at an American party, we've got an entire tub of VB. You know Australians don't drink this, right?
It's visitors' beer, but I have to tell you,
visitors' beer, exactly.
I've been buying it for my Australian friends, and they, contrary to what you say, they drink quite a bit of it.
Well, I'm glad someone is. That's fantastic to hear. Sorry, anybody from VB, if you're watching. I drink wine myself, but I also have to say this is fantastic. But not only, you've got this paraphernalia from Warrior One, best bit of Christmas paraphernalia I've ever seen.
Christmas ornaments, yeah, that's what that is.
And it's a bottle opener. But then at the party, you don't have to open bottles. I'm very confused.
We have bottled beer as well.
No. But these are very cool. So thanks to Warrior One, and thanks guys for making the effort to come here, because I know it's such a trek, and I look forward to making the trip to see you guys at the Newport to Bermuda race. It's going to be fantastic.
It'll be fun.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, and good luck.
Thank you. We're all going to win our class.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
We're all different classes.
You're all in different classes?
Wizard. 5 American boats.
In different classes?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So good.
5 wins would be pretty good.
Oh, P.S. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Love it. That's good. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Pleasure to have you all here. Type of penguins are in Hobart, and a big thanks to everybody who's helping behind the scenes. We nearly had another capsize. Rebecca and Simon are doing a great job trying to deal with some interesting internet conditions here down under. We do it slowly, as you know, but we're trying to do our best to bring you live action from right here as we lead into the start. We will be heading off the Make sure you're following us on all your social media channels at Sailor Girl HQ at Twitter, Facebook, at the boat park, and saying goodbye to everybody. Speaking of saying goodbye, I know that they'll be on the dock getting some footage with Zoe Taylor's crew, Grace O'Malley, right now. We are following them in depth this race. We're going to get some really interesting things from off the boats, including heart rates and sleep patterns and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be really, really cool, brought to you by Schneider Electric. And speaking of Schneider Electric, here's an interview with the lovely Vanessa Dudley. She's been the Australian Female Sailor of the Year before. She's doing her 22nd Hobart this year. She's been the Laser World Radial Champion in the Masters division in both the women's and the Opens. She is an incredible sailor, but also one of the most humble people you will ever meet. Here's my interview with Vanessa Dudley. Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia with one of Australia's best ocean racers and dinghy sailors, all-round sailors. She'd hate to admit it though. Look at her. She's the most humble person you'll ever meet. Vanessa Dudley, you're going south on your 22nd.
That's right. Yeah, it seems incredible to have racked up that many, but yeah. What else do you do at Christmas time?
I'm not sure what else you do at Christmas time, but it's lovely to see you going south this time with Zoe Taylor on Grace O'Malley.
That's right, yeah. It's really great sailing with Zoe. She's come back to sport after she loves sailing. She's had a break and come back and bought her own boat. It's a good boat. It's a Cookson 12, and she's assembled a really good crew and program.
Yeah, it must be amazing. I mean, she's a director of the company. She's also now running this boat as well, and obviously she's a good manager, and it's great to see the team that she's assembled, yourself and Carl as included.
Yeah, Carl Crawford, he's a Hobart winner. Hugh Brodie and Carl and Hugh have sailed together a lot. Tony time sailing together, and everyone on the crew brings a lot to the boat. So yeah, it's really great. We've done the Blue Water series races in the lead up, and had time with the boat, and I think the forecast sounds really great. A lot of running. Seems an incredible forecast for Hobart race, so it's all good.
Yeah, it is all good, and you had a win in the Cabbage Tree Island race as well. Sort of, when the boat had a few little modifications. Great to see her coming out.
I've sailed with Adrian Carlin on women's programs. Zoe's the first owner skipper that I've sailed with. I think we'll see more women coming into the sport. I think my first Hobart was 1984, and we were a little bit of a rare breed then. Women and over the years, it's a process of change. I love sailing in mixed crews. I guess all women crews aren't really my preference, but every year. I'm just glad to be part of the race. I think I'm getting older. Sooner or later, no one will ask, but here we are again. So yeah, it's good.
I think people keep asking you for quite a while, Vanessa. And on that note, good luck for your 22nd, and I can't wait to see you in Hobart.
Thanks very much, Nic.
Big fella and Moffy in the rib. They're heading back to Woolwich with the Bo Jess guys as well. Carl Kwok and Gavin Brady were on board. All the big guns. There's a lot of action here at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, but a lot of the maxis actually leave from, well, all the maxis leave from different areas, and then there are smaller boats that leave from other areas as well. Ichiban leaves from Roselle, and the old Ichiban, which is now MV Scooters, they both leave from over at the Boathouse, which is just past the fish market in Sydney. And then there's boats leaving from also Sydney City Marine, that's where Blackjack will leave from. And then at Woolwich, Comanche, Wild Oats 10, Wild Oats 11 and Bojest. They all leave from Woolwich. So all the big guns were here just before for the briefing at 8:30, which we managed to stream. And we're doing our best to keep you posted with a very, very heavy amount of traffic going out from the area. Just to my right, there's just a plethora of TV cameras and people starting to sit around and mill around as they're saying goodbye to their teams and their crews, and they're trying to find somewhere to go. So starting to get a bit. Now, just to recap, there's been a bit of chat about the weather. It's looking pretty much like a soldier's course, which is the Rolex Sydney Hobart, you know, turn right, head south, blah, blah, blah. But it's an easterly to start with, and then a northeasterly gradient coming in. So we will see those chutes being used most of the way down the Australian eastern coast and coming into the coast of Tasmania. It's looking like all the boats that are above about 52 feet should get round the corner before the shutdown and that really unstable instability section in the weather. We got helicopters now too. There'll be plenty of helicopters out today as well, no doubt. And slow down, and then those 70 to 52 boats will come around the corner with a little bit more speed potentially. We're obviously the skipper of Oracle Team USA this year. I did speak to him quite a lot in Bermuda. He went south on Comanche 2 years ago and won line honours with Jim Clark and Christy Hines-Clark, which was great to see. I've spoken to him a lot this year. He's copped a lot on the nose this year as well when he was defeated by Emirates Team New Zealand, but he's been doing some great work here in Australia, especially for the Buoyed Up Foundation. A bit of a shout out to Matt Owen and the Buoyed Up Foundation. He's back to those wounded warriors, and interestingly enough, Jimmy Spithill's aligned himself with both of those organisations, so great to see him back in Australia enjoying the summer. Here's my chat with him at Woolwich earlier this week about his path south with Comanche. This is Nic Douglass from Adventures with Sailor Girl at Woolwich, where there seems to be quite a bit of action at the moment. And Jimmy, one of my most interviewed humans this year. How are you going?
Yeah, apologies for that. But no, good. Good to be back here. Yeah. Good to see the boat back here. You know, it's been 2 years. And great to see another Aussie owner of a Super Maxi. I mean, they're all here and looking like it's going to be probably the toughest race to date.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough.
So, yeah, you need to do all three, and yeah, let's see what happens.
Absolutely, but I mean, the cool thing is that the crux of the team are on board, which is nice to see. A few additions: Brad Jackson, obviously Jim Cooney's on the helm, but you guys sort of know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, brought Brad in, one of the most experienced guys offshore, and I mean, we're the last to get going here. I mean, every other Super Maxi's been out training, doing starts. We just had our first sail yesterday, so it's definitely a smaller preparation. But I think because of the depth of the team on board this boat and the ocean miles they've done, hopefully we can get away with that. And yesterday, first sail, and no issues whatsoever. I looked at every sail, around the reefs. So that's a huge credit, obviously, to Kate. He's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, no, he's done a lot for that boat, and it's so many miles with this boat over the past few years through all the records, all the races. So I think you're in good hands.
Yeah, we've got a great team. You know, obviously Stan is just a legend in terms of going offshore and picking the best track. But you know, the Hobart race, you never know what's going to happen. There'll always be a couple of curveballs, and you know, as a team, you got to deal with it, and you never know. Even when you get down to the Derwent, there's been plenty of times. get becalmed and the race restarts. So until you cross the line, it'll happen.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. Well, good luck, and we'll see you in Hobart.
Yeah, thanks.
No worries. Are you good? This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, live from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. This is Brigitte, otherwise known as?
The Minion.
Yep, see, she calls herself that, it's not me.
The.
The, not head?
No, the.
The, okay.
Yeah, there's only one, the Minion, so I'm the Minion.
The Minion, awesome. Now, guys, tell me what's happening out there, because we've been sitting here talking to some amazing sailors and watching some interviews. What's happening around the club?
It's so busy out there. There are lots of spectators. There's lots of dogs on the dock. I keep on getting distracted.
You're meant to be working.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Don't tell my boss.
Uh-oh. No.
There are lots of, like, people diving.
Times, yeah. Just a few. And as a non-sailor, how's it feel?
I'm really excited to meet the penguins.
She's all about the penguins. So tell me, what happened with the competition? Is it still going?
It is still going. We have had a few people answer correctly what kind of penguins are found in Hobart. There are only one kind, so you can only answer one.
Is it the antler-wearing kind?
Who knows?
Maybe?
No. That was
Shredder.
No, he's mine.
I know, he's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've made that very, very clear. Well, thank you guys for all your work you're doing in the background. You can chat to them on Instagram stories. I think this one's on my Snapchat as well, and on Facebook stories as well. There's plenty happening, and we'll be out on the water very, very soon too. And you'll have to keep us posted on what's happening in the village while we're on the water.
Definitely.
Definitely. Awesome. We're going to go to an interview now with Ian Murray, the big fella. You love the big fella, don't you? Yeah. We spent every morning with him in Bermuda, and just saw him there and said goodbye to him as well. So good luck to Wild. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Girl with Ian Murray, big fella, my most interviewed human of 2017. Got to close out the year with you, big fella. How are you?
Perfect.
Yay. Good to hear. Good to hear. And you're about to head south on Wild Oats 11 yet again. Just going to be awesome.
No, look, the weather forecast looks exceptional.
Yep.
So everyone's really, I think, excited. We've got these 4 big boats. I don't think anyone really has a proper handle on the performance mix of the boats, and with the forecast a bit mixed up, anything's possible. So I think there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah. If there's anything that you and I like, it's a great race, and this is going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah, it is. There's going to be for sure Comanche's going to leap out of the start, and what happens after that is we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely, and deal with it as it comes, which all great races do.
Yeah, and look, there's some terrific crews and boats. The boats are already well prepared, and the weather forecast is exceptional, and even back through the smaller boats and the handicap ratings, it's going to be a very memorable year in the Sydney to Hobart. And Stan Honey just said, look, if it was this good every year, there'd be 1,000. Boats on the start line, so
absolutely. And maybe I feel like last year I felt like I should have done the Hobart. This year now I'm like, damn it, I should have done the Hobart. Next year it will probably all go south again.
on board.
On board.
Sailor girl on board.
Sailor girl on board. Yeah, we'll see how we go. But Merry Christmas to you, big fella, and thanks for all your work this year for sailing. It's been absolutely awesome.
My pleasure.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. We're back at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Fantastic to be here with you guys, and a big thanks to our sponsors Schneider Electric and Zyke and B&G for being with us. I'm sure you've seen their logos all over these amazing interviews that we've done. Now I'm coming in a bit closer, guys. I'm going to grab this chair. It's time to talk about the course yet again. I did talk about it earlier, but I'm just going to jump in here, and if you guys can tell me, how's this look, guys? We look all right? Park. They will head up to a mark that's just inside the heads and then go to the turning mark, which is just outside the heads, and then head south. There are 3 start lines. The maxi boats start in front of the next boats so that they get out of the way quickly, and then the smaller boats will come through. Essentially, as Shane Kearns spoke about earlier in his interview, quarter of the fleet are on the first line, a quarter of the fleet are on the second line. Races basically being 4 different races. There's a race from the start line to the heads, Exhibit A. Then there's the race from Hobart to the Iron Pot, then Iron Pot to Tasman Light, and then up the Derwent. So essentially 4 starts, 4 races, and we will see a few different weather systems moving through as well. In case you haven't heard, easterly for the start, so we'll be looking at codes, reaching sails, and then flying around that turning mark, heading down on a very tight, fast reach until it goes a little bit northeast, and then they'll be looking to get as deep as they can in a bit of more pressure tomorrow. So that's all very, very interesting. I think what we might do now is go to one of my favourite interviews. In fact, it's the Minion, Brigitte's favourite interview. This is with Julia Cooney from Comanche. So she's the daughter of the new owner, Jim Cooney, and she's a real powerhouse. This is definitely I think something she's grown up with, given that her father owned Brindabella and then Maserati. Brindabella is just so famous amongst anybody who's ever been involved or looked at a paper, especially in Australia. The Rolex Sydney Hobart is just something that you do on Boxing Day, even when you're not a sailor, really, is watch the start. So she's grown up in this environment, and you'll hear her thoughts on being the only female to head south with one of the 4 maxis. And there's quite a few people on each of those boats, and she's the only female heading south today from 1 p.m. Make sure you stay tuned for our live coverage. Here's my interview with Julia Cooney. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, back at Woolwich, where there seems to be quite a bit of action happening, and I have with me Julia Cooney, who is the only south on the Maxis this year for the Rolex Sydney Hobart. That's pretty exciting.
It is pretty exciting, but it's also pretty sad that the sport's not really set up for girls and there aren't any others in the 4 big Maxis. So, on the one hand it is pretty cool, but on the other hand it's sort of a reflection on the sport, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit of a reflection.
Footers have been Australian owned, so that's pretty cool. And I guess this is something I've always done with my dad and my brothers, so it's pretty good to be able to continue doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I started with my dad as well, and it's definitely something that's quite special, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've done 2 Hobarts yourself previously. This one might be a little bit different, though.
Yeah, that's right. We're hoping to be a bit closer to the front this year. We were pretty happy last year on Maserati, finishing 6th, but hopefully getting sort of top 3 or even getting the gong this year would be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, poor Maserati, I remember watching you guys just from the finish line. I think a lot of people don't understand that this race is broken down into a lot of sections.
Yeah, that's very true. Coming up the Derwent on Maserati last year, there were a lot of guys thinking that we were going to get the race record. Yeah. Smashed the previous year's record, and then we ended up finishing several hours after it, and and, you know, dropping about 3 places in the last half an hour. So it was pretty awful in those last few minutes, but hoping to do a lot better this year.
Yeah, and then Brindabella, talk me through that. That's actually the first boat I remember doing in Hobart as a kid, and now you've been on 2 iconic boats, which your dad's boat, you know, happened to own both. That's, I mean, it's something for the memory banks, but I guess sort of normal for you.
Look, it is pretty special, and we do recognise that. Yeah. And Brindabella will always have a soft spot for her. We still own her and love her, and beautiful boat to sail and beautiful boat to look at. But this is definitely something a lot more exciting. And actually went out on Comanche for the first time yesterday, and it was just phenomenal, the speed and the power and just the size of the sails and the load in the sheets and just everything is a whole new ball. Game, so it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a soft spot for Comanche. I remember when she first came to Australia, and I remember the first time I sat on her as well, and there's something so special about her, and now there's even something more special about her because she's an Australian boat, so I really love that.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Awesome. Well, good luck for you in the race, and hopefully we'll see you in Hobart.
Yeah.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Saligo. We're live at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, and we're about to have 2 guests join us broadcast today as well as Schneider Electric and B&G. Let's come and take a seat. Coming in now we have Livy Greenhall and also Lisa Blair, who are heading south with Climate Action Now. Are you ready to go?
Pretty much. A few little bits of tidying up, but yes, pretty much.
Nice, thanks Dad. You know, that's really good because it's been a big few weeks for you guys getting the boat ready to go and a new team as well.
Yeah, it has been, and most of the girls are flowing in internationally. So
race, it was a little bit different. You did open up your boat to applications essentially.
Yeah, so I when I found out it had been 16 years. And so keen to get involved that I made choosing the final handful of people that sailed with us really, really hard. But, you know, it was just fantastic to see that level of response from a campaign like this.
Oh, absolutely. And now you're all ready to go. And
Team SCA, and we had a 13 squad there and an 11 on the boat at any one time. So yeah, no stranger to it. I think what's been really impressive this week is you know, there's 8 people that have effectively been thrown together, and the way the team has gelled and the talent on board is amazing. And I think it's a real credit to the talent of female sailors that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's great to see you all gelling together, as you say, maybe also out of circumstance, because the Rolex Sydney Hobart's a pretty serious race, and your time frame meant it was like, whoop, let's go.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that, but everybody came to the project with the right attitude. They're all here to sail, they're all here to work hard and learn hard, and you know, that really shows with how they interact with each other. Everyone's a comedian on the boat, which is great. You know, it's going to be just as serious as it is fun, so that's fantastic to see.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys go, because you're in that sort of 50-foot range, which might do quite well.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty interesting for us. I think definitely the end of the route, we've got a little low pressure developing, could catch us out a bit, and we might get a little bit caught with some light breeze there. But yeah, it's definitely not clear what's going to happen towards the end in 3 days' time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But at least you guys know that you've done everything you can to prepare for what's ahead, and it's lovely to see you guys doing what you're doing. I know we had the breakfast the other morning as well, which was connecting females, and it really is something, unfortunately, that does need to be addressed. You know, I say unfortunately because you'd hope that it would just happen, but it doesn't just happen. You've actually got to take action to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is certainly a a great number of girls racing this race, but when you think of it, there's only just over 50 women racing out of 105 boats, which are fully crewed by a whole lot of guys, a couple thousand people. So for me, I'd really like to just see a higher inclusion of mixed teams, and maybe next year we can have 2 all-female teams racing.
Yeah, or even just more girls on boats. I mean, mixed crews aren't anything to be slighted. I love a mixed crew.
Yeah. Other and obviously that's what the ultimate goal with the Magenta project is to try and make sure that it's kind of not the norm to be in an all-male team or to be in an all-female team. The norm is a mixed crew, but one aspect of that is the whole chicken and egg. Or how does someone get the experience to get the opportunity, but how do you get the opportunity to get the experience? And to some extent, that's where things like the collaboration we're creating here is giving a lot of the girls on board the opportunity to do different roles on the boat. The next time they can present themselves with a different level of experience.
Absolutely incredible. We're just going to go to a holding slide, and we'll go to our next live interview in just a minute with Bradshaw Kellett, who's sailing with Triple Lindy. But it's such a pleasure to have you guys here with me, Lisa, Libby. Good luck to you guys, and well done for all that you're doing for females in sailing. I think it's really awesome.
Thank you.
No, you're totally welcome. Good luck.
Yeah, cheers. See you in Hobart.
You will. Lindy, they're a cool team, hey?
They're a great team. They've done a lot of events around the world, and they've bonded really well. And so they've been on a Swan 44 for the last 10 years, and now it's time to up the ante and put them on the Cookson.
Yeah, but this one doesn't have a canting keel, I believe?
No, we're a fixed keel. The boat actually has a centerboard in it, but it bolts down. It's all secure. So we did a delivery back from New Zealand during the year where the keel was moving around, so we turned around and fixed it all up, and so now she feels like a real yacht again.
That's awesome to hear, and you're no stranger to making good of boats that might not be in their best condition too.
Oh, well, you get
But last week you didn't get in as much sailing as you would have liked. How's the team going?
Team's going really well. We've been calling it knocking the swan feathers off, and so now all the guys have really concentrated hard on their individual roles. And we went out for an overnight sail, and so went into the watch systems, and I think everything's going pretty smoothly.
Yeah, and your owner Joe, he's a bit of a cracker.
Yeah, he's a bit of a mad one, but we love him. We have a really good relationship, so it's good to be able to say what I feel needs to be said, and he doesn't get upset. So no, he's a good guy, and he's put me in charge of the boat for the trip, so he can just stand by and watch. And then we have the Newport Bermuda race coming up next year as well, so yeah, we'll see you there. And Caribbean 600, so he's putting a really good program together and looking forward to it.
Cool, and you'll get to go overseas and do some stuff. You haven't been away for a while.
No, we did 19 trips to New Zealand and back in 4 months this year, so that's about as far as I've been in 12 months. So no, it'll be good to get up to Bermuda and the Caribbean and then Europe next year as well, so busy year ahead.
Very busy year, and you're right, this year is very different to last year, but the forecast is not too dissimilar.
Forecast is pretty similar. I think there's a lot more downwind, and so the guys are going to be covering a lot more miles than what we covered last year.
5 years.
Yeah, that'll be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm breaking him a 50th.
Awesome to have you here, and we're going to go to a pre-record with Mark Bradford, one of This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl with Mark Bradford. Blackjack is looking quite good with a little bit of light stuff at the start and the end, hey?
Yeah, look, yeah, for sure. That bit of the forecast looks good for us. I mean, Comanche and Wild Oats and InfoTrack can put some miles on in the middle section for sure. So, hey, look, you've got to get there first, Nick. Yeah. None of that stuff really matters right now, does it?
No, it really doesn't, but I just like putting you on the spot, Mr. Squawk. But Blackjack has been going really, really well in variable conditions in the Blue Water Point Score Series especially.
Yeah, look, this is, as everyone knows, this is a very thorough project. It's been thought out deeply from all levels of recruiting to how we change the asset and all that sort of stuff. Peter Harburg and I enjoy that, and Alex Nolan enjoy that part of the project. I believe we've got the best people: Bruce Clark, Brad Butterworth, Vaughan Prentice, Simon Daubney, Dean Phipps. You know, it just keeps going.
Keeps going. Yeah.
So, you know, I believe we've got the best people. The nice thing about a win here would only be that it validates your thinking of what you've done to the boat.
Sure.
And similarly, it'll be an easy scapegoat if the weather doesn't go your way.
That is true. But what are a few of the mods that you've done? I mean, I know that you've put on another big sail in the past week or so. Tom was telling me about that.
Yeah, we didn't use the spinnaker in the big boat race. We thought we'd better use one for the Hobart race. Sorry, Rico. No, look, Neville was pretty much ahead of his time with this boat. He did a lot. He had some really good thinking in it that not a lot's really changed from then. We've updated the systems. They've changed a lot to be more reliable. Hydro and electronics has been a big focus. Then under the water, hydro is in hydraulics, sorry, and then hydro is in under the water. Getting the front board out was a big thing for us, just to reduce the drag downwind. We have a huge advantage in our tungsten bulb.
Yeah,
down. We're at 26.7. I think Oats are in the 29s and Comanche's in the mid 30s and InfoTrack's around that space. So, you know, there's a huge weight difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as everybody knows, it then comes down to how you play it all out on the day.
Yeah, look, last year, arguably, we probably had the best boat for the race for handicap, and we didn't race well. And we've lived with that all year. Hopefully this year we race well. I think we've got a great asset, but you still got to race well, and you've got to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think everybody, I mean, you're the quiet underdogs as well. I think whenever anybody puts a post up on Facebook at the moment about anything to do with line honours, you'll have like comments of "Go Blackjack, go Blackjack, go Blackjack, go Blackjack." Seem to be the people's favourite, which is quite cool.
Yeah, look, I don't do social media. I gave that up a few years. I gave that up a few years ago.
So just letting you know,
to protect my sanity. But look, it's nice to get support for sure. I mean, we work really hard at this thing, and we're focused pretty hard on what we're doing here. And I think it's good. The support comes from people that just recognise hard work. Love being the underdog. We're from Queensland. That's our brand. We're happy with that. You won't hear me say that we're going to win the race to anyone. We're just going to do a good job of the process, get it across Bass Strait in one piece, and then maybe a bit of Stephen Bradbury.
Adventures of a Sailor Girl, and we're live again from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. Great interview there with Mark Bradford, and I just ran into a whole bunch of the Blackjack crew over here who are getting ready to go. You should come say hello. Come on. Amy, you should come and say hello. Come on, Amy. Come jump in here. Look, here's Amy Harburg. Amy's going to come and say hello. No relation whatsoever to Peter Harburg.
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Who actually owns Blackjack? And we just heard from Squawk. Are you very excited for the boys today?
I'm super excited for the boys. It's going to be a heck of a race, and but I know my brothers and the team work incredibly hard for this.
I know, but just the family support as well, especially at this time of year when there's so much going on. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. We're right behind Dad and the whole crew. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful to see. And it was so nice to meet you as well. Thanks for saying hello.
I couldn't not come over and say hello. I've been listening to you for years.
Oh my God.
Keeping up to date with all the racing. It's so great what you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and well done to your team, and good luck to the boys as they're heading south. And I'll be there in Hobart. You going to come to Hobart?
I'm not 100% sure yet, but I might be.
Fingers crossed that you do come to Hobart. And we've only got a few more interviews to go, and talking about out-of-towners, from the Queenslanders in Blackjack to the South Australians in Concubine. I caught up with Silas Nolan. I went sailing on Concubine just this week when they were testing. Hey Silas.
Hi.
What are we doing?
We're just going for our final little sail for the before the great race.
Before the great race.
What day is it? Is it Tuesday? Tuesday. Monday. Tuesday.
It's Monday. It's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas! Just kidding. It's actually Thursday, I think. But you're doing a bit of testing with this new.
Yeah. Well, we got one new sail, which just arrived this morning, which we just want to check before we take it south, and just.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl with Mark Bradford. Blackjack is looking quite good with a little bit of light stuff at the start and the end, hey?
Yeah, look, yeah, for sure. That bit of the forecast looks good for us. I mean, Comanche and Wild Oats and Infotrack can put some miles on in the middle section for sure. So, hey.
Yeah, the performance has gone up and up and up, but you have had some bad luck this year.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's in the past, and we're moving forward.
We only talk about the future.
We only talk about the future, but South Australian representatives.
I'm the only one from the Cruising Yacht Club of South Australia, so we're pretty good with that.
Awesome. Now, who's on board? I think you've got only one owner. Shev's not coming with you this year.
Just Jason this year. Shev will join us for the Nationals in Melbourne in January.
Yep.
We've got Julian Freeman from Tasmania. Steve Kemp's the navigator. We've got Aaron Cole from Norths.
Yep.
Nick Partridge and Simon Cunnington joining us.
Awesome.
Along with our usual suspects that we have on board.
Just a bit of banter to go along with this team too. You have a great time.
We do our best to.
We've got beers on board while we're doing the last training session. I'm happy about that.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Oops, no beers on board here. Sorry. No, all good. But great to see that you've had a good year as well. And what's next for you after Hobart?
The IC Nationals, and then probably the Caribbean 600 in February, back on the Proteus.
Perfect. Well, good luck for the Hobart. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
You're going to have a blinder.
Hope so.
Billy Sachs is on. The people that we've spoken to today, we spoke to our Korean entry Sonic. They're sailing on a TP52. Wendy Tuck from Sanya Serenity Coast, she won the last leg into Sydney, and she also won the leg from Sydney to Hobart in the last Clipper race. So no pressure, Wendo, as we said, no pressure. We also spoke to Wild Oats 10. I was on board when we tested their new mainsail during the week. They've also got a brand new J2, which Norths has flown in for them during the week. And when we're looking at the 50 to 70 foot range, they're well within there if they can put it all together. They are a fairly new team, and a bit of the energy does go towards Wild Oats 11, but the whole Oatley family is behind both of those teams. And there's a lot of crossover, which is really, really great to see. 3 interviews from Comanche, Jim Cooney, the new owner, Julia Cooney, his incredibly inspirational daughter. She's all over it. And also Jimmy Spithill. Blackjack, we spoke to Tom Addis and also Mark Bradford, and then we also had a little visit from Amy Harburg live, which was just fantastic. Invictus Games, that's one of my favourites actually, Ben Rayleigh and also Will Parbury and Paul Atwood. And then 3 from GO, we'll be following them closely. They'll be docking off very, very soon. Zoe Taylor, Vanessa Dudley, and also Carl Crawford, their navigator. DeRaid, Matt Brooks, absolutely beautiful vessel. Make sure you check out the album on Facebook from the sail pass the other day. The SNSs were just stunning. Concubine, Silas Nolan that you just saw. Great to go sailing with those guys. I love it when it's this time of year. Everybody says to me, Nick, have you been sailing? Nick, you need a sanity check. Nick, come on, we've got to do something interesting. And I'm like, yeah, because you can get quite involved with it. And it's the same on a race day like this. You've got to remember why you do it all, and it is meant to be about the fun. That's what it is. It's sport at the end of the day, but it's quite serious at this end of the game. We also played my interview with Roger Hickman, the last interview that I actually did with him. It's actually so well loved here and beloved in terms of the Sydney Hobart. He did win the Tattersall Cup in 2014, which was 3 years ago, and then unfortunately passed away in 2015, just after the he actually collapsed at the 2015 Hobart, which was just awful for the community, but he will be remembered, and I will play that interview. You probably until the end of time. So my love to Sandy Eastman if she's watching as well. Wild Oats 11, we spoke to Rico and also Big Fella. Couldn't finish out the year without another interview with Big Fella, probably my most interviewed human this year, given we spoke to each other every single morning at the America's Cup. We've had drop-ins from Brigitte and also Eliza Allen, who have been helping behind the scenes today. But a big shout out to Simon and Rebecca, who have been keeping the camera rolling. They've been absolutely amazing. And my dad's somewhere off chasing Chapo, I think, who may not even make it before the show closes. He's running that late. He is brilliant, I got to say. Infotrack, Tommy Slingsby, great to chat to him as always. Christian Beck's a cracker. Can't wait to talk to him in Hobart and see what he has to say after his first ocean race ever and purchasing a maxi. And as he said, quote, on his shitbox, but he loves it. Wizard, Richard Clark, the ex-Giacomo, they did win last year. And then we spoke to 3 of the other Americans. We've spoken to all of the American teams, Triple Indy Warrior 1 and Christopher Dragon. We also spoke to Brad Kellett from that team live. We've spoken to 3 people live from Climate Action Now, the 3 girls. That is the all-female team, the first in 16 years, and only 1 of 10 to actually complete the Hobart. And then we also had a little look at the safety video with Sir Robin Knox-Johnson and Matt Allen. Matt Allen. Great to hear his really in-depth weather description as well, and his predictions on the race for IRC. So thank you very much to everybody who's joined us. Let's go to our last pre-record. We've saved the best till last. This is Seve Jarvin with Steve Mothy Jarvin, his dad. Seve's going south on Wild Oats 10. Mothy's on Wild Oats 11. Mothy has the record for the most line honours wins ever in the Rolex Sydney Hobart. He has been with the Oatley family programs for the last 29 years. He's done every single race that Wild Oats 11 has done. He's won all the races that they've won. He's had all the records. And his son, Seve, has actually never made it to Hobart. He's tried a few times, not made it. But he does have the record for the most 18-foot skiff world championships. I believe that's 7, and he was coached by Ian Big Fella Murray as well, and is known for the Extreme Sailing Series sailing. So I also coach both these guys in the Etchell alongside Nev Whitty. Nev Whitty's their coach, and I just back him up really. But no, I do help out the Magpie boys quite a bit. So here's my interview with the father and son. Definitely the best for last. Here we go. This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, slightly cooking in the Wild Oats shed. It's absolutely boiling here, but it's a cracker of a summer in Australia. And I've got sitting with me 2 of the Jarvins, one heading south on Wild Oats 11 and one heading south on Wild Oats 10. Seve, you've done one and not made it. How do you think the 66 is going to go?
Well, I think we have to make it. Troy sort of said, even if we go down there with just a jib, we have to get to the finish line, I think, because the other guys haven't finished for a few years, and he gave us a lecture that no matter what, we have to finish. So hopefully I can do one, then I never have to do it ever again. Yeah,
perfect. Because you are known more so for Extreme Sailing Series and Etchells and those other boats, and maybe offshore is something that you're doing later on in your career, or?
No, I haven't. I've just done 4 races, and every race I've done, it's been 2 knots going upwind, bobbing around. So hopefully this one, the forecast looks good and we can get a good forecast, and maybe I'll start enjoying ocean racing again.
Unlike this one, who's done a few trips south. How many will this be for you, Moth?
Lining up for 30.
30, but you got to finish.
We'll finish, that won't be a problem.
And the Oates program, you've been with them since the start, I believe.
I have been. I've been sailing with the Oatley family now for 12.
But in recent years, they've been taken. Last year, Perpetual Oil had a cracker.
Well, we were just having it a rest. You've got to give someone else a go at winning the record, so we'll be back this year.
You'll be back this year. Awesome, awesome to hear. Well, good luck to you both heading south. I know that both of you are going to make it, even if it is under a jib, as Mr. Seve said here. But it's great to see you guys racing against each other, and awesome to see Wild Oats with 2 entries in the race.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
And hopefully when Seve's done his first Hobart, he can sit me down and give me a couple of lessons like he does every day.
This is Nic Douglass for Adventures of Sailor Girls. Just saying hello. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll try and get a feed up on Facebook, but all the links will be there if we do go just to Spreaker, so make sure you stay tuned. Again, a big thanks to all my helpers in the back end. You can follow us at www.sailorgirlhq.com. My name's Nic Douglass at Sailor Girl